Stillman & Company is delivered by TriStar Moving, ESPN 1025, The Game Fireball Hot Take Friday. We've got Chris Rock over here, Caroline Fenton, just cracking jokes left and right. Hello, Caroline.
Hello, how we doing?
Oh, just fantastic. Like, if you're looking at the stream right now, our stream on YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter, presented by the law offices of Amanda Gentry. If you're watching the stream right now and it looks like I'm crying, it's because Caroline has been saying a bunch of just ridiculous.
I almost wish we went live like 5 minutes before, just for a quick little comedy hour.
And I'll just say this, because I'm not going to tell any inside jokes, and I'm not going to tell you what we were talking about. It all started with us talking about Joe Redding. I'm just going to leave it at that. Ian's here today. Hello, Ian.
Hello.
When you put your headset on, what did you hear from us?
Extreme laughter.
Okay.
That is all.
right.
I missed the first part. So, yeah, I was busy talking in the hallway, and so I hopped on last second, and boom, we were laughing.
Oh, you missed some zingers over here from Caroline Fenton. So I want to start with this. And I don't know how everybody else is feeling about the Seahawk game on Sunday for the Titans. And you say it like this. Like, I love Chase on the midday show. I love Chase. I've known Chase now for 8-9 years. Chase has one of the just most golden and caring hearts I have ever met. Fair?
Fair.
Okay.
He's a great guy.
Every now and then, I kind of feel like Chase drinks too much Kool-Aid. Like, whether it's Predators Kool-Aid, Titans Kool-Aid, Vols Kool-Aid, Vandy Kool-Aid, and I think it's because Chase is such a great guy that he gives everybody the benefit of the doubt. Like, sometimes maybe I don't give enough people the benefit of the doubt. But I just think sometimes Chase, it's like, well, the coach said this, and I think that makes sense, so I'm going to. It's like, Chase, no, the coach is lying. And I don't have a specific instance of that. I'm just saying I feel myself saying that when I'm driving around a lot. So I'm listening to Darren Donick and Chase today, presented by Creation CBD. And I'm driving around on this Fireball Hot Take Friday, and they're talking about the Seattle game today. And Chase is like, I think the Titans are going to win on Sunday. And I'm like, damn it, I think the Titans are going to win on Sunday. But
you guys took my take.
So, on this Fireball Hot Take Friday, I mean, all I've got to go off of is when the things look the worst in the Mike Vrabel era. Like, when it looks like it can't get any worse, the Titans win. When it looks like it can't get any better and they are cruising their way to the Super Bowl, they lose to some bum team. Case in point, 2018. They start the year losing to the Dolphins, which is bad. And then nobody expects them to beat the Texans in week 2. And nobody expects them to beat the Eagles, who had just come off of winning the Super Bowl. Nobody expected them to beat Jacksonville. You go through those 3 games. They're 0-1. Mariota's hurt. Taylor Lewan out with a concussion. Jack Conklin out with a knee. Dennis Kelly out with an illness. They've got 2 backup tackles in there. They've got no starting quarterback, and they're playing the Houston Texans with J.J. Watt and Whitney Merciless, and this was before Bill O'Brien ruined the team. And so you're thinking no shot to win that game. They win. The next week, they go to Jacksonville. Jacksonville coming off their AFC Championship game appearance. Everybody forgets about that, but Jacksonville did, in fact, in 2017 go to the AFC Championship game. They are coming off of their appearance. They smoke the Patriots on national TV, and nobody thinks the Titans are going to beat Jacksonville that week. Blaine Gabbert gets knocked out on the first series. Mariota, who can't throw, has to come into the game, and they end up winning something like 10-6. And it was like a miracle that they won that Jacksonville game. Then they get the defending champion Eagles at Nissan Stadium, and they beat them in overtime. And now they're 3-1. And now everybody thinks Vrabel's the greatest coach of all time and that the Titans are on their way to the Super Bowl. And then they go to crummy Buffalo. And this was when Buffalo was still bad. And they go to crummy Buffalo, and Nick Williams drops a ball in the end zone, and the Titans lose. A game they have no business losing. They lose. They get sacked 9 times by the Ravens the next week. They go to London to lose to the Chargers. And now everybody thinks the sky's falling and the team's bad. And then they go and beat a good Cowboy team and a Patriot team back-to-back. And it's like, what? So that's the thing that I've learned about the Mike Vrabel Tennessee Titans, when things are bad and you don't think they can get worse, and you look at the team they're about to play and you think, oh my goodness gracious, how are they going to win this game? Somehow, some way, they find a way to win that game. And so I am banking on 3 years of Vrabel. 3 years of beating the Kansas City Chiefs with Patrick Mahomes at home at Nissan Stadium. 3 years of almost winning out at the end of the 2018 season to make the playoffs. 3 years of starting off 2-4 and ending up in the AFC title game. I am banking this year on that and this game this week. The Titans last week could not block Arizona. They could not pass against Arizona. They could not catch against Arizona. They didn't miss a lot of tackles, which was kind of amazing, but they didn't get in any position to tackle. They couldn't cover against Arizona. Excuse me. They couldn't get off the field on third down against Arizona. They didn't punt the ball particularly well against Arizona, and they couldn't kick field goals against Arizona. They couldn't do anything. As I said on Monday, that team would have lost to the Jets, and I stand by it. They would have lost to the Jets. The Seattle Seahawks are better than Arizona. This game is on the road in Seattle, where Seattle very rarely ever loses, where they have arguably the best crowd in the NFL, where the Titans, for the first time in a year, are going to have to use a silent count because last year there were no fans, so it was pretty easy to not have to use a silent count. So an offense that has barely practiced together now has to go on the road, longest flight in the league to the Pacific Northwest, to take on the Seattle Seahawks with a great quarterback using a silent count that they have with an offense and be Mike Vrabel. There is something about Vrabel and the Titans where they win this kind of game. Now, that doesn't mean that we still shouldn't be upset by the way they played on Sunday. That doesn't mean that the Titans are for sure going to win. It doesn't mean anything. But I just feel in my heart like the Titans are going to win this game. And when everybody was dogging the Titans on Sunday after they lost, and I was dogging them, and they deserved to be dogged. But when everybody was dogging the Titans, there was this feeling I had that was, watch them go to Seattle on Sunday and win. And at that point, I was thinking, I'm not going to say that they're winning, that they're going to go to Seattle and win. But now I kind of feel like they're going to go to Seattle and win. Chad Withrow, Outkick 360, going to be on our show later today. You got A.J. Brown throwing a fit at those guys. I mean, I'm looking at this and thinking in my head, I'm like, every piece of the paper would tell you there's no way the Titans are going to go to Seattle and win. No way. And yet, I just kind of feel like when this team gets super motivated, when you put them in a corner and you say they can't do something, some way, somehow, the history of Mike Vrabel, the 3 years he's been the coach, would tell us otherwise. Remember the one game, Ian, do you remember the one game last year that the Titans had absolutely zero business competing in?
Not off the top of my head. I apologize.
They played a Tuesday night, and I wasn't expecting you to. They played a Tuesday night against Buffalo.
The COVID game.
The COVID game, where the Titans spent a week away from each other. We talk about how big practice is and the fact that they didn't practice and what it looks like with them not practicing. They spent a week away from each other as, the tree shook out on all the COVID positives. And so the Steeler game gets moved. They have a bye week. They're away from each other. They got 2 walkthroughs in before they played the Buffalo Bills, and they crushed them 42-16. Nobody thought the Titans were going to win that game. Nobody gave them a chance. How could a team on paper that's not as good as Buffalo to begin with, how can that team take an entire week off of practicing, then play Buffalo, and smoke them on national TV? And somehow they did. And that is just what the Mike Vrabel effect. It will anger you to your core when they do something dumb, like hand it off to Luke Stocker on 4th and 1 against the Texans. Or when they lose a game at home or are competing in a game at home that they have no business competing in, that they should be winning by 30 points and they're not, that will drive you nuts. When the Titans win 3 in a row and you're feeling good about them and they drop a clunker to a bad Buffalo Bill team in 2018, you're going to be upset. But the Vrabel effect, I think, is real. We've got 3 years' worth of data that says when the Titans are playing a game that they have no business winning, they find a way to win. So I am banking on that this week against Seattle. I don't know how, if you're down on Todd Downing, that he's going to learn how to call plays in 1 week. I don't know how Taylor Lewan could just get his rear end spanked on Sunday and go out there this week and have the best game he hasn't played in a year. Derrick Henry every year is a slow starter. Ryan Tannehill, when asked to do more, sometimes does less. A.J. Brown and Julio Jones are coming off of disappointing starts. The defense is a complete and total question mark. And by the way, the first-round pick at corner, Caleb Farley, who doesn't even get out on the field anyways, is hurt and not going to play this week. Shocker. And we still have no idea if Randy Bullock, the kicker, can kick. And yet, the power of Vrabel, I think they're going to win this week. I know it's crazy, and there's nothing in my heart. Like, there's nothing I can say. There's no way I can diagram this to sit there and say, you know what, here's why I think the Titans are going to win. And it be some argument that you can't just quash. I mean, think about everything that Kyler Murray did to the Titans last week, or that the Titans allowed Kyler Murray to do to them. You do know Russell Wilson's better than him. You do know their 2 receivers are better than Arizona's 1. That's, it's kind of tough, kind of depressing, kind of. And yeah, I think they're going to win. 615-737-1025, Fireball Hot Take Friday. Your thoughts on Sunday's game. You think they're going to win, apparently, Caroline.
It's tough because if you take yourself out of Nashville and the team that we've been covering, let's just say it's any other game happening, just another game in the NFL. You would look at all of the factors working against the Titans. The poor week 1 performance, like you mentioned, one of the longest trips in the NFL to Seattle in an incredibly loud stadium against a very robust Seattle offense with a defense that, competing against a Titans defense that isn't great. All of the factors are working against the Titans. And if you're someone who's just watching this game kind of as a third party, you would never expect the Titans to win this game. It would feel like easy money betting on the Seahawks. But like you said, this Titans team has a history of doing exactly what you don't think they will do. I mean, Mike Vrabel is 7-0 after a double-digit loss. His ability to get his team going after a loss, this team's ability, well, maybe not, this exact team because we haven't seen it yet, but Mike Vrabel's ability, to his point, flip the page to the next week and fix the issues that you saw the week before is almost unmatched. So it feels silly for me to say, yeah, I think the Titans have a very, very good shot at winning this weekend, but history tells us they absolutely do.
Ian, what do you think?
I think they will play better. I don't think they're going to win though. I just think the Seattle is just going to be too tough at Seattle. I do think they're going to play a lot better, and I think they will keep it closer probably than some people expect, but I can't pick them to win.
I hear you. I mean, there is
that's so fair.
If I didn't cover the Titans, I would think there's no chance for this team to win. Because I wouldn't know, I wouldn't have the experience of watching Nick Williams drop the ball in Buffalo and think to myself, how in the world can you beat the world champion Eagles but not beat the Buffalo Bills in Buffalo in 2018? So, I've seen that. If I didn't see it, I wouldn't believe it. There is nothing that you saw in Sunday's game that could make you think this team could beat the Seahawks.
Correct.
Nothing. And yet, this is just what they do. I didn't even know the stat you just told me. Mm-hmm. Vrabel's 7-0 after double-digit losses. And yet, that doesn't completely surprise me. Wait a minute, that can't be true. They're 7-0 after double-digit losses?
Yeah. Let's see. Mike Vrabel, Titans era. I'll do some fact-checking, but...
Okay, because I got to believe in 2018 they lost the Ravens by double digits, and then they lost the next game in London to the Chargers. And how I can remember that, I don't know, but I can. But I'm not saying that your fact's wrong.
I'll double check.
Just take a look at that. But that is, if that stat is true, that is an incredible stat.
Yeah.
615-737-1025. Here's the question we're starting off with. If you're a Titan fan, do you think they're going to win Sunday? Don't give me your score prediction because I don't care. But do you really think this team can win? Because what we saw Sunday, this team's going to get beat by 50 points by the Seattle Seahawks if they do that. I mean, just keeping it real. 615-737-1025. And there's another element of this game that makes me think the Titans might have a shot to maybe show us a little bit more. We'll get to that coming up next. Let me tell you about my friends at Invigorate Health out in Mount Juliet. That's right. Are you feeling old? A lot of people I talk to, they say, man, this is not like my 20s. Because in my 20s, I had all the energy and I could do whatever and it didn't matter and I felt great and now just so tired and I got my kids and I let Invigorate Health take care of you. Invigorate Health has IV therapies. That's right. So they can just put that IV right in there, get you perfectly hydrated, increase your mental capacity, relieve your stress, revitalize skin and hair, bolster your immune system, and so much more. They also will take your blood, and they'll see what your levels are, and they have hormone replacement therapies that can restore your vitality and are designed with you in mind. So instead of saying, okay, here, just load them up with this. Here, take these pills. Here. No, they check everything for you, and their trained physicians and nurses know exactly what they're doing. Then there's the M-Sculpt Neo. And the M-Sculpt Neo is the world's first and only technology that uses radio frequency and high-intensity electromagnetic fields to eliminate fat and build muscle non-invasively. You heard it right there, non-invasively. So you can see on average 30% loss of fat and a 20% gain of muscle. Put it on your belly, you might see some abs. This is how Invigorate Health takes care of you. I'm telling you, they are the best. If you're feeling old, if you're feeling out of shape, if you're feeling like you can't get back on the wagon and get your health where you want it to be, Invigorate Health in Mount Juliet is where you need to go. InvigorateHealthTN.com. That's InvigorateHealthTN.com. Invigorate Health. My guys, tell them Jared Stillman sent you.
Derrick Henry, stiff arm, touchdown Titans.
Can Derrick Henry and the Titans get into the win column?
Wilson fires downfield, lock it, he's got it, touchdown.
Or will the defense continue to get exposed when they face Russell Wilson? Tune in all day Monday for full reaction to Titans Seahawks.
Talking Titans?
We are Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
The Electronic Express Famous Half Price Fair is going on now. Save up to 50% in every department. Incredible savings on 4K TVs, appliances, computers, speakers and headphones, smart home, and more. Plus, get up to 36 months free financing. You won't find a lower price anywhere. We guarantee it. The Electronic Express Famous Half Price Fair is first come, first served. Ends Saturday at 9 p.m. Electronic Express. We make it happen.
Hi, golfing friends. We're here to tell you about the 54-year anniversary membership special at Oak Hills Golf Course in Greenbrier. For only $89 a year with a $10 per year admin fee, you can get a 2-year anniversary membership at Oak Hills and enjoy unlimited golf from Monday through Sunday. Call Oak Hills Golf Course today to respond to this special offer before it's over. To get your $89 membership today, go to OakHillsGolfCourseTN.com or call 615-643-4505.
Willie Donick here for Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville. The Pella Windows and Doors brand has the reputation as the leader in the industry for top quality window and door products. When you add the fact that my friends at Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville are a local company having served the greater Nashville community for over 40 years, that's an unbeatable combination. Pella of Nashville is growing and has opportunities for all types of talent. Plus, they're offering sign-on bonuses. Go to PellaNashville.com. That's PellaNashville.com.
If you've missed any of today's show, just search Stillman and Company on Apple, Spotify, or your favorite podcast platform.
Well, I think the response has been good. I think that the message has been, let's stop trying to be perfect. We're never going to be perfect in anything that we do, but we just are looking for some precision, be precise, play fast, play aggressive, play sound, physical, but we have to lose this mentality of perfection that is never attainable.
Do you really think the Titans' problem is that they are so worried about being perfect?
No.
Like, that's the job interview thing where it's like, what's your biggest weakness? My
I work
weakness
too
is that I
hard.
work too hard. Yeah, I hear that, and I'm like, okay, that doesn't make a lot of sense. So we're doing this fact-checking on Carolina's stat. I think the Titans are going to win on Sunday against the Seahawks, even though I have no way. There's nothing about the game that I feel confident in selling to you that would say, okay, here's why I think the Titans are going to win. I just know in my heart that Mike Vrabel, since he's been the Titans coach, whenever you think they're going to do one thing, they turn around and they go do the other. Now, we still have questioned Caroline's stat. Where'd you get it again?
Yes, Mike Herndon from Broadway Sports. So in 2018, they lost 21-0 to Baltimore and then lost 20-19 to the Chargers. But that is the only double-digit back-to-back loss.
So then it'd be 7-1.
7-1.
Okay. So the stat is 7-1 when losing by double digits. And by the way, and I'm not here to gloat, I can't believe I just pulled that out of my rear end.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive.
I mean, that is, I was listening to the Midday Show today, and they were talking about, have the Titans ever thrown out back-to-back stinkers since Mike Vrabel's been the coach? And I'm listening to Darren talk about the Cleveland game last year, which was just an absolutely unmitigated embarrassment. And he's saying, they lost by 6, so that wasn't a stinker. I'm like, Baker fumbled the ball with a minute to go, and it was a blowout the whole game. And I was literally getting mad. I was texting Chase because they were like, well, what about, and I'm like, what about 2018 when they lost to the Colts and the Texans back-to-back games? Like, I'm sitting there, like, getting mad. So the random things I can remember about the Titans are kind of embarrassing. Let's go to your phones, 615-737-1025. I think the Titans are going to win on Sunday just because that's how they do business, and they could not be as bad as they were. Let's go to Havo, who's going to kick us off. Phone lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com on a Fireball Hot Take Friday. What's up, Havo?
Hey, what's up, guys? How you guys doing?
Good.
Honestly, like Ian touched on, I think we'll play much better on Sunday, but I doubt we win, man. It's just not. I think Todd Downing is a coordinator. His play calling is like off of Madden. I think that this guy needs to get out of here. I don't know how we hired this guy. But
dude,
I think we play better.
Game.
He's just how he play calls is like it's so predictable. It's so predictable.
He's done it one time. You say the way that he calls plays. He's called plays once. It's not like you've seen it 15 times and you know that the guy stinks. I mean, like Michael Jordan had games where he didn't drop 20.
I mean, he didn't even in the game when you know something is not working. Oh, he was just his play calling was horrible. He didn't even give us a chance to even move up the field. I think we play much better, but I think it's hard going on the road to Seattle and trying to get a win over there. Like you said, it's tough to even say anything about the game saying that we're going to win, like how we go off of Arizona and stuff. So
thank you for your call, Havo. I have no idea how this team's going to win other than the fact that I think they're going to do it. Now, we got to talk about this Todd Downing stuff. I mean, and we'll have a much larger discussion about Todd Downing later, but the fans hate this guy. He's called one game.
But it's not even just the fans. I've seen a lot of columns, articles, tweets from Nashville sports media talking about how, Todd Downing was the worst offender in that Cardinals loss.
What do they know? What do they? I mean, no disrespect. Gentry Estes wrote that, and I know that you're talking about multiple people.
Yeah. I'm not calling out Gentry Estes here.
But what do they know? What does Gentry Estes know to sit there and say, hey, Downing is the biggest problem? What does he unless you're there, unless you know what the call was and what the design of the call was supposed to do, I don't know what you think Todd Downing knew on Sunday when he put together the game plan. Hey, my $15 million left tackle is not going to be able to block. Probably not. Do you think he knew my $15 million receiver is not going to be able to separate from these bullcrap Arizona DBs? Probably not. I don't love the offense by any means, and I think one of the biggest problems they have is that they don't have a tight end. But at the same time, just the angst for one game of Downing. If we get 6 games into this baby and it looks like it did Sunday, I'm on board with you. But one game and everybody just wants to dump on this dude. We had a whole season of Shane Bowen sucking. A whole season of just embarrassing defense. The Titans go out on Sunday, and I thought the defense was put in bad situations by the offense, but they go out Sunday and don't look very improved. And nobody here's complaining about him. I'm like, we got a whole season of data on this guy, and nobody's complaining. Downing, everybody's like, oh, he's the worst. It was one game. It was one game. Tannehill doesn't fumble the ball at the 1-yard line. Maybe the game is totally different. You know, when you're down by 15 points, you can't run Derrick Henry because it's not going to make a difference. And I almost feel like the ghost of Floyd has took over and is inside of me.
I know. I was about to say, like, we might be in a scary situation when you're the voice of reason.
Well, because you all know me, I have no problem dumping on a coordinator. I was mad at Terry Robisky after the second week when they went to Detroit and won a game. I thought Terry Robisky stunk. But at the same time, like, gosh, can we just get off of Downing for 5 minutes? Can we let him call another game? That's all I ask. I'm not even telling you he's good. I'm just saying, like, to have the caller's tone right there was just so defeated as far as Todd Downing was concerned. I'm like, is he really that bad? And that's a question mark, not a rhetorical question. Is Todd Downing really that bad?
He could be that bad, but I'm not going to allow myself to jump to that conclusion right now. Was Sunday's game embarrassing? Yes, 100%, but I think there's only a certain amount that you can do when your quarterback's on the ground and your 2,000-plus yard running back is getting stuffed up the middle every single play. So yes, are there adjustments that Todd Downing could have made that he didn't make? Yes, but I'm not going to put the entire blame of the game on Todd Downing because there's only so much that you can do.
Mariota's last game against Denver, they lost 16-0. They went in there, they couldn't do anything. And a lot of that was because Marcus was so bad. But they went to Denver, and they got beat so badly, and it was embarrassing. And I didn't hear one person say, you know, Arthur Smith's the problem. And Arthur hadn't really done a whole lot up into that point. So I don't get where, like, one game it all goes to crap and Downing is, he's just the worst. I have no idea where that's coming from. 615-737-1025. Back into your reaction for the game on Sunday. I'm not sure I hear a lot of confidence. Now, you've got the text line, so we'll be able to take a look at that as well. I'm not sure I hear a whole lot of confidence on Sunday. I think they're going to win. I know it sounds crazy. I actually think that they're going to win. 615-737-1025. Stillman & Company is delivered by TriStar Moving. Let me tell you about my official movers, TriStar Moving. I've been telling you all about TriStar Moving for almost a year now. Like most people, I hated moving, but not anymore, thanks to my friends at TriStar Moving. They made the process so simple. That's why their motto is TriStar Movers with 5-star service. From the initial phone call to the final signature, moving was a breeze. They offer home protection covering floors, banisters, railings, door jambs, even the doors themselves. And they are always upping the game when it comes to mover training and customer satisfaction. That's why this company is on the rise, my friends at TriStar Moving. Their owners, Garrett and Robert, true Nashvillians, and they want to help out the individual citizens of their city as their company continues to grow. And trust me, again, like I said, it's on the rise, all due to that high standard that they hold. If you're looking to move, give my friends at TriStar Moving a call, 615-640-1219, or visit their website, nationalmoving.org/radio, where they'll give you 5% off your entire move. That's TriStar Moving. 615-640-1219, nationalmoving.org/radio. Tell them Jared Stillman sent you. TriStar Moving, my official movers.
Titans, Seahawks. The Two-Tone Blues seeks a Week 2 victory in hostile territory. Tune in Sunday at 1 for NFL pregame with Jared Stillman, Chris Sanders, and Mark Howard. Live from Corner Pub in Cool Springs. We are Nashville's best sports talk. ESPN 102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Football is here, Titans fans. With 5 locations throughout Middle Tennessee, it's easy to find the perfect corner pub to meet up with friends and family to cheer on your favorite team. Head downtown to watch your Tennessee Titans play on the 50-foot LED screen, or brunch it up next Sunday in Cool Springs with Jared and friends live on location. Stop in any location for game day food and drink specials. Corner Pub, your local family-friendly sports bar in Brentwood, downtown Nashville, Bellevue, Cool Springs, and Franklin. The neighborhood meets at the corner.
Hey, Darren McFarland here, and Week 1 may be over, but the season's just getting started. At DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of the NFL. To kick off Week 2, DraftKings is giving all new customers a can't-miss offer. Bet just $1 on any football game this week and receive $200 in free bets instantly. no matter what. That's right. DraftKings Sportsbook is giving all new customers $200 in free bets instantly when they bet at least $1 on any football game. DraftKings is safe, reliable, and secure. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now. Use that promo code 1025GAME and receive $200 in free bets when you place $1 bet on any football game. That code again, 1025GAME. This week at DraftKings Sportsbook, you must be 21 years of age or older. Tennessee only. Restrictions do apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text the Tennessee Red Line, 1-800-889-9789.
Yo, it's Teron Davenport here to tell you about my friends at Freedom Tire Guys. They're Nashville's premier mobile tire company, and they do it all. New tires, balance, rotation, everything. Bill, a recent customer of theirs, loved the way they came to him and saved him time and money. So if you're like Bill, you like convenience, and you need some new tires, check out FreedomTireGuys.com. If you don't see the tires you like, give them a call, and they'll find them for you. Check them out today at FreedomTireGuys.com.
Sunday night, the National League playoff race continues when Bryce Harper and the Phillies wrap up their series against the Mets. Coverage begins at 5 on ESPN, 102.5 The Game, and the Game Nashville app.
Hey Nashville, this is Laura Rutledge from the SEC Network, and you're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
What surprised you the most on that?
I just thought our sense of urgency and energy to start the game wasn't where it needed to be, and took us a little too long to kind of wake up, and that certainly put us behind the eight ball, put our defense behind the eight ball, and that's something that we've got to get fixed and get fixed quickly.
That was Todd Downing yesterday. By the way, it is not a good sign for a coach to say, I just don't think we were ready to play. Now, Downing is the king of BSing and is never going to tell you the truth. But I think it's kind of embarrassing for a coach to be like, so what happened to your offense? Well, I just don't think we were ready to play.
We weren't really prepared.
Game of the season. First game of the season. And we're not ready to play. Now, again, I think Downing's BSing you. I don't think Downing, whatever the problem was, Downing's not going to be like, well, Joe, I just don't think Taylor Lewan could block, and we weren't ready for that. And it doesn't look like Julio's practiced in 2 months, so we weren't ready for that. And Tannehill should have held on to the football when Chandler Jones sacked him, and we weren't ready for that. He's not going to say that. But, gosh, I hate answers like that.
Well, that's like Taylor Lewan said, I think I just got a little bit too excited pregame, and it kind of took everything out of me, and I was pretty gassed in the middle of the game.
Dude, you are a 7-year vet.
What? I mean, that it sounds like a kid at his little league game just had a sugar rush before the game and then passed out in the dugout. I get it, I understand it. It's the first game of the year. You're coming back. You haven't played in a while. You're pumped up, but dude, come on, be better than that.
By the way, I have a new Taylor Lewan rule that I'm about to explain on the show later today.
Wonderful,
so
I'm excited.
We'll get to that. 615-737-1025 Fireball Hot Take Friday. We promised you phones, and that's what we'll do. Sean is up next on Todd Downing. Thank you for calling. Go ahead, Sean.
Hey, thank you for taking my call. I really appreciate the show.
Yep. Go ahead.
I heard y'all saying that, we're dumping on Todd Downing after one game, and I get it. I want to be more optimistic than that, but remember Todd Downing was the OC in Oakland, I think, back in 2017, and he didn't even make it throughout the whole season.
So I think he did make it through the whole season, though they didn't make it much past that, and I appreciate your call, Sean. And I will say this about Todd Downing, and I'm about to pull up the stats for the 2017 Raiders. I will say this about Todd Downing, which is Fitz, the only person I know who really, truly loves the Raiders, Jason Fitz. Mm-hmm. Fitz hates Todd Downing.
Hates Todd Downing.
Hates him. So there is that. And he watches every Raider game, and he loves the Raiders. And we all know because we used to listen to him talk about it all the time.
It's tattooed on his body.
Which is embarrassing. But Fitz hates Todd Downing. And because I told that to Mark Howard on the pregame show, and Mark Howard kind of shot that down and was like, well, they didn't have any talent. But I'm like, I don't think that's true. They had Marshawn Lynch. They had Michael Crabtree, Amari Cooper. They had two guys that could, catch the football. 48 catches for Cooper, 58 for Crabtree. Yeah, I mean, Downing, they kind of stunk. They were 17th in the league in total offense, 23rd in points, which is how we count things on this show. So it wasn't like it was a complete and total unmitigated disaster, but it's certainly not a good sign.
Not great.
Do we hold 2017 against Todd Downing right now?
No, because, I mean, how many successful coaches are there now, both at the college and the NFL level, who had bad stints other places?
Oh, there are so many coaches.
Probably every single coach that's coaching right now.
There are so many coaches in college football who get fired as a coordinator and then end up as a coordinator somewhere else, and then that team has success and then becomes like a can't-miss head coach.
Yes.
And you're like, whoa, how did that happen? Case in point, Luke Fickell got fired at Ohio State. Now, 1 year as an interim coach, and it was a mess, and so Luke Fickell runs that 1 year in between Tressel and the tattoos and Urban Meyer. And Gene Smith says, like, yeah, Luke, we love you, but you can't coach here.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, Luke Fickell could get any major job in America.
He's the hottest coach in college football right now.
Hottest coach in college football. And Ohio State, who knew him, because he was from Ohio State, and he spent a year as the interim coach, Ohio State said, you can't coach here. So that happens all the time. So I'm not going to hold 2017 against Downing either. And I think it's kind of like where I'm coming from and where the fans are coming from, I think are two totally different spots. I'm willing to give Downing the benefit of the doubt for 1 week. If this thing keeps going on, then you got a problem. Then it's Norm Chow. Then it's Terry Robisky. Then it's get this guy out of here. If it's one game, I'm not ready to throw him out yet. And I don't love him or hate him, or I don't have any feelings towards him. But I don't see how you can hate Downing and not hate Shane Bowen. I'm just being real, given the track record that we've got, in front of us with Shane Bowen. What do we have in the text line?
Well, to your point, I think it's all about expectations. Because, I mean, I personally don't think the Titans defense was terrible. It wasn't great. It wasn't anything that should make you happy, but it wasn't terrible. But I don't think anyone expected the Titans defense to have the same expectations as the offense.
Sure.
But one texter checks in and says, I think some of the hate on the OC is not wanting to admit that the players aren't as good as we hoped they would be.
So I think there's probably something to that. I think the one thing that this city does, and I don't know if other cities do it because I've actually never worked like in the city. I worked in New Hampshire, which covered Boston teams, and Boston's just different. Like, if you're not Larry Bird or Tom Brady, they're going to have a bone to pick with you until you prove that you are Larry Bird or Tom Brady. And even then, they might have a bone to pick with you in Boston. But here, anytime that a big-name player, anytime a player that you're convinced has a big name comes in here, the fans just drop their pants in just total applause. And that's like some small market stuff. Like, that's not what big markets do. That's what the small towns do. He's our guy and and that's like a college town thing. But when you bring in a big name, this town just loses their mind about it. They felt that way about Matt Duchene. They felt that way about P.K. Subban. They felt that way going all the way back to Carl Pickens. They felt that way about Eric Decker. They felt that way about Julio Jones. They felt that way about Jadeveon Clowney. We told you on this show, this is the one radio show that had a former NFL general manager on it. A guy who is in the Titans Hall of Fame. And he told you for months he had no interest in Clowney. Zero. No interest in Clowney. And every time it came up, and again, we try to do pandemic sports talk 5 months without a game. There's a lot of time to talk about Clowney, which we did, because it was like a whole spring and summer 2020 kind of thing. And every time he just dismissed it. And at the end, when there wasn't any training camp, and then there were some rumblings about the Titans getting involved in this, that, and Clowney, and he said, I'd offer a minimum salary, and that's it. Ha ha. Like, and then when Robinson made the move, the largest criticism he ever offered about John Robinson publicly, he said, I understand what they did. I wouldn't do it. And that told me all I needed to know. And yet the fans were still like, yes, Clowney, yes, yes. And Joe Rexrode, no matter what he tells you on the morning show, Joe Rexrode said the same thing. And Corey Curtis, who's going to be on in 30 minutes, said the same thing.
Well, Joe would do it again.
And they said he'd do it again. And this town, they get so caught up in like, we use Taylor Lewan as an example. Mm-hmm. Taylor Lewan is a Pro Bowl left tackle. He's been to the Pro Bowl, I think, 2 or 3 times. You know how many Pro Bowl left tackles there are in the NFL? There's a lot of Pro Bowl left tackles.
Mm-hmm.
He's not a year in and year out All-Pro. In fact, he's never been an All-Pro. He's not one of the best left tackles in the game. But you talk to the fans about Taylor Lewan, and they will just
on a
he's
pedestal.
great. Kevin Byard. And I like Kevin Byard, and I think he's a good leader. And Kevin Byard is not one of the best safeties in the NFL. He's not Justin Simmons in Denver. He's not what Ed Reed was for all those years in Baltimore. He's not one of the best safeties. He's one of the best defenders on your team. But he's not one of the best safeties in the NFL. But the fans here just freaking love him. They just love him like, oh, yes, yes, yes. And I think this is kind of one of those things where it's like, these guys may not be as good as you think they are. I still have a hard time with the Titans offense not having a right tackle or a tight end. And I just don't know if that's ever going to change. And people just don't care about it enough because they don't want to care about it enough. But they don't have a right tackle and they don't have a tight end. And eventually that's going to catch up with you. What else we got in the text?
One texter texts in and says, I agree with Jared. I said it walking out of the stadium on Sunday. We lose a game like that and wins game no one thinks we will win. People are mad at Downing because of the inflated offseason expectations. Based on last year, all changes other than Downing were viewed as positives.
There's probably a lot of truth to that. And I also still think that the one thing about Vrabel is when you think it can't get worse for this team, and it really can't get worse than Sunday, somehow they offer a positive. Now, look, I picked them to win last week, and they embarrassed all of us. And if they lose this game, then they'll probably be 0-2 playing 0-2 Indianapolis. And honestly, I'll probably pick them at home to beat Indianapolis too. But I think there is some real juice in this one on Sunday about, how are they going to look compared to how they looked on Sunday?
Yeah. I mean, and I hate using the words moral victory, but to Ian's point, they're going to play much better in Seattle. I truly believe that than they did against the Cardinals. And whether that brings a win or not, that's one thing. But I think at least just seeing progress, at least seeing proof that, okay, this hype could be worth it. Just to see, can they hang?
Talking about moral victories on September 17th for a team that fans thought was going to go to the Super Bowl.
I'm just saying.
That is rich.
Saying.
That is something. 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025 here on the program. Coming up next, Derrick Henry. The one thing I'll say, I don't blame Derrick for what happened on Sunday. But Derrick talks about his performance on Sunday, and the one thing that I will say in my heart about Derrick Henry, we'll get to that coming up next here on Stillman & Company. It is a Fireball Hot Take Friday, so if you want to get in, 615-737-1025 is the phone number to do so. ESPN 94.9 is the official English radio home of the Nashville Soccer Club. Listening tomorrow night as Nashville SC takes on Toronto. Pregame at 6:15 and the match begins at 6:30. Stillman & Company, it's ESPN 102.5 The Game.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
I'm Fox 17 meteorologist Greg Bobus. Late morning into the afternoon, chance for a few isolated showers and thunderstorms, staying on the non-severe side. High temperatures for you Friday are going to be in the middle 80s with a touch of humidity, and will stay just as warm for Saturday and Sunday.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
Fiero Tequila Habanero is for those who enjoy the flavor of spice, naturally infused with fresh, vine-ripened peppers from farmers on the Yucatan Peninsula of Mexico. Fiero Tequila Habanero is unapologetically the spiciest infused tequila available in the U.S. The hand-picked habaneros provide a delicious kick to the smooth Blanco tequila. It's a flavor punch that's perfect as a shot, or a spicy way to spice up your hard seltzer, or perfect for a fiery cocktail. Available at fine liquor stores and your favorite drinking establishments. Fiero Tequila, the world belongs to the brave.
Your home value is way up this year, and with mortgage rates back to all-time lows, it's a great time to call Loan Pronto. Refinance now and get cash out of your home's equity. Hey, it's Willie Donick. Loan Pronto can refinance your loan at a super low rate. They can pay the closing costs for you and get you a bunch of cash out. How does $40,000 or $50,000 sound? Don't just sit on that home's new value. Use it. Use it to pay off credit cards. Use it to consolidate other debt. Get rid of PMI. Use IT to make your home even more valuable with that home improvement project you've been dreaming about. Loan Pronto's all-digital platform makes it fast and easy. And if you act now, you can even skip your next 2 house payments. Call Loan Pronto now, 615-499-5780, or go to loanpronto.com. Ask about the Loan Pronto zero-cost cash-out refi. LoanPronto.com, 615-499-5780. Equal housing lender. NMLS 1661781. Subject to lender approval. Zero-cost option not available on all loans.
You've heard about Stay Golden's all-you-can-drink coffee subscription all month long. Now you can sign up for their premium coffee subscription that comes with bottomless filter coffee, espresso, and specialty coffee drinks every time you walk in the door. Plus, 2 bags of their coffee beans each month. This deal is too good to pass up. If you join today, you get 2 weeks of the premium subscription for free. Go to stay-golden.com and use code GAME at checkout to redeem. That's GAME at checkout at stay-golden.com. Stay golden, Nashville.
If you're worried about your borderline blood pressure, hear how others are taking charge with Garlic Healthy Blood Pressure Formula.
Garlic works safely and naturally to support my blood pressure.
Garlic Healthy Blood Pressure Formula has a custom blend of garlic, vitamins, and minerals, so you know it works.
No garlic taste, no garlic breath.
Take charge of your blood pressure with Garlic Healthy Blood Pressure Formula. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. The term natural references only the garlic in the product. Use as directed.
Robbie Stanley. Maybe it doesn't hurt their bottom line this year. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen on that front. Joe Rexrode.
5 guys who are on the roster are not going to be on the roster.
Get your morning started with Robbie and Rexrode every weekday from 6 to 10. Presented by Volunteer State Bank on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company is on. Delivered by TriStar Moving.
How do you like how the team has responded this week coming off a Sunday? A lot of guys yesterday talked about kind of having a fighter's mentality, kind of getting off the mat. Do you feel like you guys have done that, and what's kind of the vibe been?
Yeah, just wanting to play to our standard, play to our identity, and we know it starts out here each and every day, each and every rep, just locking in, working hard, focusing on what you got to do just so you can go out there and play the high level on Sunday.
That was Derrick Henry talking yesterday. I was actually stunned. Derrick Henry talked way more yesterday than I've ever heard Derrick Henry talk. It's almost like Derrick Henry, who doesn't want to do a lot of talking, feels like, okay, I got it. What we talked about on Monday, that he's got to be the alpha, so he's got to do the talking. He may not like it. It may not be his forte, but if you're going to be the leader, you got to do the talking. It's part of the job.
And I think he kind of knows that, too, that if I don't do it, who will? And, of course, there are plenty of leaders on this team, but I think that Derrick has that same kind of mentality of like, okay, when I see a need, I'll fill it.
All those great leaders didn't lead well enough on Sunday. So there is something about Derrick Henry that is bothering me that I want to get off my chest. And I don't hold Sunday against Derrick. But he went on Taylor Lewan's podcast, the Bussin' with the Boys podcast, this offseason, and talked about how thinking about that game, the Ravens game that ended the season, that hurt him so much that he was waking up in the middle of the night thinking about the game. The fact that he had 60-whatever yards against Baltimore. We know he didn't really have a lot of yards on Sunday against Arizona either. Now, the games were different, and the reasons why were different as well. But I asked Derrick about that at training camp, and Derrick said, you're only as good as your last game. And I don't think he actually believes that, but it's a nice cliche, and he did say it. And now we've got 2 bad games in a row by Derrick Henry standards. Now, the line plays a big role in this, but at the same time, Derrick Henry ran for 2,000 yards with an offensive line that had Taylor Lewan and won a rushing title with Taylor Lewan and Jack Conklin as the bookend tackles, and then did it again with Dennis Kelly and Ty Sambrilo / David Quessenberry at left tackle for most of the season. So does the line matter that much as far as an elite running back? Who blocked for Barry Sanders? I don't know. But I take the 2 bad games in a row from Derrick Henry, and I look at the Seahawks, who last year finished 5th in the NFL in rushing defense. And I look at how they performed against some of the best running backs. Dalvin Cook, 17 carries for 65 yards. Now, whoever Alexander Madison is in that game had 20 for 112.
Oh, wow.
So I don't know who that is. I'm guessing he's Dalvin Cook's backup. But Dalvin, 17 for 65. They played Dallas with Ezekiel Elliott last year. Now, this was early in the season, but they played Dallas. Zeke, 14 for 34. So they are a team in Seattle that a couple years ago couldn't stop the run for anything, and now you put an elite running back in front of them, and they're pretty decent against it. Last week they faced Jonathan Taylor, 17 for 56. How worried are we? 2 bad games in a row from Derrick Henry by Derrick Henry standards statistically, and a Seahawk team that last year didn't let Zeke get going, last year didn't let Dalvin Cook get going, last week didn't let Jonathan Taylor get going. How worried should we be?
Well, I think that's one of my biggest concerns about this game is this Titans offensive line against the Seahawks defensive line, because it's a lot of young guys, but they are brick walls there on defensive line. And Jonathan Taylor, who I think has a very bright future in the league, he's not as good of a running back as Derrick Henry. He's not as proven of a running back as Derrick Henry. So if he's held to that many yards, I think that they're going to double, triple up on Derrick Henry. They know exactly that's what the Titans want to do. I mean, he's one of the best, if not the best running backs in the game. So of course that's going to be their defensive scheme, is to limit Derrick Henry. But it comes to a certain point where how much can you really put the blame on Derrick Henry if he's covered up? And how much can you put the blame on Derrick Henry if this Titans offensive line isn't doing him any favors? I'm with you. I mean, your best players need to show up and make game-changing plays.
Sure.
But there's only so much that Derrick Henry can do if he's not throwing a bone every once in a while.
So I am worried about the line, and I do blame the line for week 1 and not Derrick Henry.
Mm-hmm.
But ultimately in this league, you're judged by what you do. Mm-hmm. I mean, you are judged. The Titans have had offensive line issues in the past. Derrick Henry still run for 100 yards.
Yeah.
I mean, the Titans had offensive line issues a couple of years ago, and, Derrick pulls 238 out of his rear end on a Thursday night against Jacksonville. Mm-hmm. So I don't feel comfortable in just leaving Derrick away from any of the blame. There are no sacred cows here. And if there ever was a sacred cow, Derrick would be the closest thing to a sacred cow. But 2 games in a row, I mean, look, what is this team ultimately defined by? Running the football with Derrick Henry. Mm-hmm. So if they can't run the football with Derrick Henry on Sunday against the Seahawks, then it's 3 games in a row that they haven't been able to run the ball with Derrick Henry. This is a guy who, when he gets it, everybody in the ball yard already knows he's going to get it, and still won a rushing title and ran for 2,000 yards doing it. I'd say there's a lot on Derrick Henry's plate. I'd say this is one of those games where, you can look at it and say, it's on Derrick to find a way to kind of carry this team from a running standpoint. Even if the line doesn't totally do their job, it's on Derrick because he's Derrick Henry and he wants to be the leader and he wants to be the alpha. And I think he should be the leader and I think he should be the alpha. But when Eddie George slowed up, we made a lot of excuses about, Lorenzo Neal, his fullback's not there anymore. But ultimately, Eddie just slowed up. And I hope that's not what's going on with Derrick Henry. 615-737-1025. Let's get back to your text messages again on the Seahawk game this weekend.
One texter texts in and says, I'm glad John Robinson is our GM. I do not trust him with the draft. I could name many bad picks such as last year, but why did he take Farley when Christian Darrisaw was on the board? A lot of this revisionist history from the NFL draft I don't think is fair at this point. Because I hear you, you took this guy at 22. These guys were available at 23, 24, 25. I get that. I think we're past that at this point.
So I don't think we're there yet. You say we're past it. I don't think we're there yet. And the reason why I don't think we're there yet is because we don't know if any of these players are going to be good. We have no idea if the 2021 draft players are going to be any good. You have no idea. Now, that being said, the 2020 class,
you can rag on that one.
I'm getting worried about.
You can rag on that
I mean, that's bad. And the fact that they don't have any rookies that do anything for this team right now is a humongous concern. I mean, they don't have any rookies that can play right now. Molden, on a good team, Molden would not be out there. He's not ready. He's not ready. His technique, Marcus Spears dumped all over his technique on NFL Live the other day. He's not ready. And he's the only guy they have that goes out there and does anything from this rookie class. Farley doesn't go out there and do anything. What's his name? Dylan Radins can't be active on game day. I have no idea what Monty Rice did Sunday. I'm guessing nothing. Des Fitzpatrick's already been cut. Rashad Weaver, not active on Sunday. Racy McMath played a couple of plays. Now, he didn't do anything, but he played I mean, it's like the draft class stuff to me, like, I'm concerned. And the other thing I'll say is this. Farley better get out there and play soon. Like, I know that you don't draft a guy for 1 year, and I know that Farley was hurt, and I know that they knew that going in, and I know that he's got to play.
But if he is hurt, he cannot play.
But he was drafted to play.
And
he was not drafted to be hurt.
And he was drafted knowing that he was hurt. John Robinson drafted him knowing that he was hurt.
But with the assumption that he'd get out there and play at some point.
At some point.
It's
week 2.
I have no interest in you if you can't play. I have no interest.
It's week 2. I don't think it's fair to say that yet.
No, he was able to play last week and didn't play. Well, Jared, you got to give him time because he's, okay, fine. All right, yeah, you guys just keep waiting. Just keep sitting by the Christmas tree.
I would want to see Caleb Farley play when he can go out there and contribute. What's the point in putting him out there if he doesn't know his routes, if he doesn't know this defensive scheme?
What is the point in having him out there? Or what's the point in drafting him if you don't know if the guy's going to be healthy, and then by the time that he's cleared to play, he's not good enough to do anything for you?
Well, that's a conversation that we had a long time ago.
But that's where they are right now.
Yes.
It's one thing to have that conversation in April when people will say, well, he'll be okay. It's another thing when he's not playing and then he gets hurt with something else. Mm-hmm. This apparently is a foot injury.
Shoulder?
Is it shoulder?
I think it's shoulder.
Okay. But this isn't the back. So now it's another injury. Oh, great. Injured guys, the thing I know about the NFL is this. Dumb guys stay dumb, fat guys stay fat, injured guys stay injured. That's usually how the league works. And again, we worked over here for years with what I would call an injurist. Not a racist, not a sexist, not an elitist, not an anything else-ist, but an injurist. If you were injured, Floyd didn't want you. Now the Titans take all these injured players. And now here's Caleb Farley, who's injured again with something else. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. We'll get back to your calls because I see them loading up next on a Fireball Hot Take Friday, plus your text. Plus, we are implementing a new rule on the radio show as far as Taylor Lewan is concerned. How do you feel about me? This is a dictatorship, I would like to just state for the record. How do you feel?
I learned that a long time ago.
How do you feel about me just putting in my own authoritarian rules?
As long as I get to do it in the future, whenever I feel like a rule is so fit, I'm in support of it. I'm all for it.
No.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
No.
Yes.
Hold on, wait a minute.
Nope.
Authoritarian rule says nope. Join us in partnering Join us in partnering with the Leukemia Lymphoma Society's Light the Night. Light the Night brings light to the darkness of cancer through hope, research, and support for patients and families. Through this inspirational nationwide movement, we raise awareness and funding for groundbreaking research and treatment options to eliminate cancer. Nashville's Light the Night will be virtual and take place on November 4th. Learn more at lightthenight.org/TN.
The MTSU Blue Raiders live here.
Touchdown, Middle Tennessee! 3-ball, yes, sir!
And when you're in the borough, tune us in on 97.5.
In the end zone, caught, touchdown!
We are Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
When you purchase a certified pre-owned vehicle from Mercedes-Benz of Music City, you have the power of the star backing your car. To meet certification standards, a car has to be less than 6 years old with less than 75,000 miles. All certified vehicles come with 24/7 personal assistance and an extra 12-month unlimited mileage warranty. Right now, you can get 1.99% financing for 36 months on select 2017 to 2019 certified models at Mercedes-Benz of Music City. See more at mbofmc.com.
It's back, the world's biggest spa sale at Family Leisure.
How do you know it's the world's biggest spa sale?
Well, it has to be. It is sponsored by Artesian, American Select, and Strong Spas. Those are some of the biggest brands, and it's at 12 Family Leisure locations across the country.
That is pretty big, but
there's more than 700 spas in stock and incoming at the Family Leisure stores, and many more display model spas at liquidation prices. Spa prices start as low as $39.99. It's the world's biggest spa sale at Family Leisure. Both locations, Franklin and Antioch.
Where family and fun come together. Rock Bottom Nashville is Broadway's original brewery, where all brews are brewed on site. Josh Rappaport is Rock Bottom's brewmaster, creating fresh craft beers where peak flavors are always the rule. Grab one of their blockbuster beers to pair with their nachos, pretzel bites, and delicious flatbreads. They even have group catering. They boast one of the best views of downtown Nashville and is a short walk to Titan Stadium. And enjoy happy hour Monday through Friday afternoons from 2 until 6. Rock Bottom Nashville, 111 Broadway.
We've all had that dream. Tie game, bottom of the ninth. Bases loaded. Well, on FanDuel Sportsbook, you get more than one shot to swing for the fences because FanDuel is letting you place your first bet risk-free. That's right. New users get up to $1,000 back in site credit if your first bet doesn't win. There's a reason FanDuel Sportsbook is the top-ranked sportsbook app on Apple and Google Play. The app is simple to use. They've got great offers on all different betting markets, unique fun bet types like same-game parlay, and always-on promotions to let you get more action out of every game day. And when you win, FanDuel will pay your winnings in as little as 24 hours. Just download the FanDuel Sportsbook app and sign up with promo code PLAY to get in on the action. That's FanDuel Sportsbook, promo code PLAY. 21 plus and present in Tennessee. First online real money wager only for risk-free bet. Refund issued as non-withdrawable site credit that expires in 7 days. Restrictions apply. See sportsbook.fanduel.com for details. Gambling problem? Call Tennessee Redline 1-800-889-9789.
Screwball Peanut Butter Whiskey is the official whiskey of the NFL pregame broadcast on ESPN 1025 The Game. Screwball is the original and most awarded peanut butter whiskey in the world. Made with real whiskey, peanuts, and peanut butter, Screwball is all natural flavor to be enjoyed as a straight shot, in an espresso martini, peanut butter old fashioned, or a PB&J shot with a berry liqueur. Check out screwballwhiskey.com/recipes for more. Be sure and ask for Screwball by name at your favorite watering hole in Nashville.
Enjoy responsibly. 2021 Screwball Spirits LLC, San Diego, California. Whiskey with natural flavors, 35% alcohol by volume.
Nashville's best sports talk, locally owned, home of our Nashville Predators. WPRT-FM Pegram, 97.5 Murfreesboro, WBUZ HD2 Laverne, online at thegamenashville.com. We are
ESPN
1025 The Game. Live from the Game Nashville studios, it's Stillman and Company. Delivered by TriStar Moving. TriStar Movers with 5-star service. With Jared Stillman on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company is delivered by TriStar Moving, ESPN 1025 The Game. Fireball Hot Take Friday. We are streaming on Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube. Just search Stillman and Company, presented by the law offices of Amanda Gentry. So we are putting in a new rule on the radio show today. I have not discussed this with Caroline, nor have I discussed this with Ian. But I have decided, in light of recent events, you know, like the school principal who puts in rules after something bad happens, like no more of this kind of clothing at this school. That's what I'm deciding that I want to do today. Taylor Lewan yesterday, after his wretchedly awful performance on Sunday, spoke to the media. And Taylor Lewan decided he wanted to apologize to all the Titan fans out there for his terrible performance. Take a listen.
You know, that doesn't take away from, like, Chandler Jones is a stud, right? Like, there's no denying he dummied me all day. Like, I'm not going to live in, like, oh, this, or I did this or that. Like, let's, you know, I have to be accountable. Like, I wasn't accountable in that game to my team, to myself, to my family, to everyone watching, to you guys, to the fans. And, you know, you go in, you get an IV, and you're cramping, you come back out, and they announce that I'm back in the game, and you get booed from the fans, and, you know, that stuff happens, man. It hurt, but at the same time, the way I was playing, I don't blame them. You know, they want the team to do well. They're not just rooting for me. So I'm sorry for letting them down.
Okay. And I'm sure that a lot of fans had a lot of sympathy after hearing that for the message from the heart.
Oh, so sweet to
Just
him.
right there from the
so
heart.
So sweet.
By the way, they don't announce when offensive linemen enter the game in the NFL. This is not baseball. Like, we're now pinch hitting. This is not. They don't.
Second baseman.
Could you imagine doing that in football? Like every play, like, ladies and gentlemen, now entering the game, Anthony Ferkser, Racy McMath, and Julio Jones. Now leaving the game, Derrick Henry, Kari Blasingame, and A.J. Brown.
I think you would pass out from lack of oxygen.
Yes, you can't do that.
No.
So, no, the idea of they announced me back in the game and the fans booed, that never happened because that's not what happens in the NFL. The quarterback is the only position that they announce when there's a change. The only one in the entire sport. So,
but what if you have a podcast? Do they change the rules for that?
And that's where we're going with this. Here's the new Taylor Lewan rule. I don't give a crap about anything he says anymore. I don't care. I don't want to hear about it. I don't want to read about it. I am done with Taylor Lewan talking. I have dealt with Taylor Lewan's talking for like 6 years now, where Taylor Lewan says this, what do we think? And I just don't care anymore. Here's the reality of it. The dude's playing on a 1-year contract. He's making a lot of money this year, and at the end of the year, he's signed for next year, and if he stinks it up this year, they're going to cut him, and they're going to save $15 million on the cap or whatever the number is, because they don't owe him any money after this year. So he's essentially playing for his job. And the one thing that football and basketball players have to understand is that you are what you do on the field. Taylor Lewan is not a famous podcaster because he has a lot of talent. I have listened to that podcast, and he's not devoid of podcasting talent, but he's not a great talent. He's just a guy who talks and brings on famous people because he's famous. And you know why he's famous? Because he plays football, not because he's a great podcaster. There's a difference between him and Joe Rogan. Again, he's only famous because he's good at football. He's only rich because he's good at football. People only listen to his podcast because he's good at football.
And we are getting an absolute flood of texts and comments saying that they did announce it. It did happen.
Did they really?
Yeah.
The PA announcer announced at the game, now re-entering the game for the Titans, Taylor Lewan.
Yes.
I was at the game.
I was there too.
Did you hear it?
No. But we have, I'm not kidding you, 15 texts and several comments.
How? They never do that.
I'm just saying.
They never do that.
I didn't pick up on it, but I mean, several people are saying that it happened.
And maybe you're right. I'm going to need proof from that. But, and if so, then I apologize. But, if so, they don't do that in the NFL. Whatever. All right. Get on.
It happened.
I don't care anymore. And I don't care about what Taylor Lewan says. I'm over it. I'm over people reacting to Taylor Lewan. You realize, like, most Titan fans, like, don't live on Twitter and aren't, like, trying to be cool on the internet.
Yeah.
Like, there's an entire radio show that is dedicated to being cool on Twitter. And I just don't care about that because Twitter doesn't matter. Twitter has never mattered. Like, it is not a reflection of real life. And so I think about Titan fans like my dad.
Mm-hmm.
My dad will never listen to Taylor Lewan's podcast. Not because he's going out of his way to not listen. He'll just never listen to Taylor Lewan's podcast because he's never going to listen to that podcast.
Well, it has a very niche audience.
Right, and that's who I feel like
it's not
all this,
your dad.
And I feel like that's who all this is for. Like the Taylor Lewan circus that comes with like the tweet about the Chandler Jones thing or the I apologize. That is an attention grab is what that is. That is an attention grab to get out there and say, I want to apologize to all the fans and I got my butt whooped and I'm sorry fans that Chandler Jones beat me and let me tag Chandler Jones. It's all about attention.
Yeah.
And I don't care about attention anymore. And I'm a talk radio host who's got an incredibly popular show in this town. And so what I'm going to do is ignore all of it and focus on you playing football. And that's the new rule because I don't care. I don't care what body part Mike Vrabel says he's going to cut off on your podcast.
But we do know what body part it was.
We do know they don't cut his schmenzer off if they win a Super Bowl. I do not care. I'm over caring about Taylor Lewan. You know that Taylor Lewan has played half the games over the last 2 seasons? He's played half the games. Dude, you play half the games. Let's care about the people that play all the games. Like, when's Nate Davis's podcast coming out? I don't care. So the new rule is no more Taylor Lewan attention giving when Taylor Lewan wants to go out and get attention unless the attention is related to blocking.
You're sounding a bit shut up and play right now.
Yeah. Play. Block.
I mean, I understand.
There's a difference, though, because the whole shut up and play thing is like all about politics. And I'm not telling somebody. Yeah. Laura Ingraham started told LeBron to shut up and dribble, and that's what started all that.
Okay.
So that's like a political thing.
But I think it also applies to other things as well, as like, your value comes on the field, and that's about it.
Yes.
But that's not it. Like, I'm not anti Taylor Lewan having a podcast. I'm not anti.
You think Taylor Lewan make $50 million a year to being a podcaster?
No, but that's not what I'm saying. And because if he wants to not make $15 million a year and just be a podcaster, that's up to him. I mean,
I have no problem with that. No problem with that.
Go for it.
Nobody here cares about that.
Correct.
Like that's the thing I'm trying to get through to people. Is like nobody cares. The only reason people care, it's like basketball players that are like, I am more than just a basketball player. It's like, I hear you, but they're buying your shoes to play basketball. Like they're not, they're not. That's and I have no problem with people that want to use their platform for something positive.
Yes.
But I'm also not in the business of just giving people attention. Like LeVar Ball did this. Like he just went out of his way.
The queen of attention seekers.
He just went out of his way to get attention all the time, and it worked. But do you want LeVar Ball to play left tackle for you?
No.
Okay.
Thank you.
So the new rule on the radio show is no attention to Taylor Lewan unless it has to do with football.
Okay, that's fair.
That's it.
Have we ever given Taylor Lewan attention for anything other than football?
Yeah, remember that time he tweeted us because we were talking about what he said about the Preds?
Yeah. No more Twitter gossip.
Phone lines driven by WilsonCountyHunter.com. Fireball Hot Take Friday. Chris is up next on Derrick Henry and the passing game. Thank you for calling. Go ahead, Chris.
Hey, guys. How are y'all?
Good.
Well, first of all, I wanted to say I'm definitely into the idea that Henry's going to have a big week this week. I feel like it definitely is a time for him to have a big week. However, I think it wouldn't be such a terrible idea, and tell me if you agree. If the Titans come out to start the game with, say, a 4 wide receiver passing set, and they use the pass to set up the run rather than using the run to set up the pass.
And what 4 wide receivers do you want to put on the field?
Excuse me, sir?
What 4 wide receivers do you want to put on the field?
That's a question I wanted to ask you. What about Josh Reynolds? Is he available yet?
I guess he would be, but they don't want to put him on the field.
Okay. Well, I mean, you make a good point there. But still, it seems like something that would be a little different from what we usually do. And we are on the road in a hostile environment. Also, Tannehill's supposed to be using the silent count this week, which I think
I'm worried
is
about
working in
that.
our favor.
Yeah, no, I'm worried about that. Thank you for your call, Chris. I will say this about like a plan like that. When you have a bread and butter in the NFL and you've been really successful for the better part of 2 years with your bread and butter, the last thing you want to do is just change up everything you do. This is not a 5 wide from the shotgun kind of team. And you're not going to go to Seattle and win by tricking them going 5 wide out of the shotgun. You should remember, this team does not have a right tackle. So you're going to have to help out the right tackle. On top of the fact you're going to have to help out the left tackle right now unless he learns how to block. So now you can't send 4 guys out into the pattern. And if Derrick Henry's not out there, then the defense knows exactly what you're going to do on every play, so they're going to tee off on your quarterback. So it sounds nice to be like, hey, let's spread them out, Bobby. But I just don't think that's something that they can do on Sunday against Seattle.
Also, I would like to add that
I do feel like, I'm sorry, go ahead.
The Titans injury report was just released.
Give it to me.
So Bud Dupree, Anthony Ferkser, David Long, and Jayon Brown are all questionable. Caleb Farley is out.
Okay, I thought you were going to say they were all out.
Oh,
and
no,
I was
questionable.
Like, okay.
Questionable.
So, they're not
as
gonna
of
tell you
today.
much there. That is. I do feel, I'm even getting tweets right now that Taylor Lewan was announced. When did they start doing that?
I don't know.
I owe an apology then because I owe an apology to Lewan because apparently that happened, and I just missed it at the game.
I think we might have 30 texts in the text line all saying that. Some people are irrationally mad at you for saying that it didn't happen.
Well, I don't care about that.
Well, I'm just saying.
I mean, they don't do that. Maybe they have a new rule for Taylor Lewan. Maybe.
Well, that's what I asked. Maybe they have special rules for podcasters.
Maybe it says, hey, we need to give Taylor as much attention as possible. Maybe it'll help him play better.
What about radio hosts? Do we get anything kind of fun?
No, we get booted.
Now entering the stadium, Jared Stillman, official proponent of Papa John's mini pizzas.
Yeah, no, you were not here, obviously, for the time that the Jared and the GM radio program was loudly welcomed, similarly to Taylor Lewan's response there at the Predators Blues game in 2018. It was, What was funny was after it happened, the fans boo. And
There's no such thing as bad publicity.
I'm not a huge fan of that idea. But, I'm not a huge fan of that. But, after that happened, we're up in the, the suite or whatever, and our general manager at the time, Jana Hampton, is saying to me, she's like, you like that, though. That's good, though, right? I'm like, no, I want everybody in my hometown arena. I want them to be like, Jared, Jared.
Well, at least you're getting some
Jared.
sort of reaction.
Yeah. I'd rather have that one than this one. But you know what? It is what it is. I'm just not upset that they booed. But I would prefer
to it not have happened.
Jared. And I think we should get that going. That's
that's just a trend I'm not hopping on.
Corey Curtis, News 2, will join us next. Stillman and Company, Fireball Hot Take Friday. FanDuel Sportsbook is my official sportsbook app. The NFL is back, and FanDuel Sportsbook wants you to get the most out of every play. That's why they're giving everyone a $10 risk-free bet every single week. All you have to do is bet a same-game parlay bet with 3 legs or more, and if your bet doesn't win, FanDuel will pay you back up to $10. For example, a parlay, Derrick Henry's rushing total, hit the under on that. Ryan Tannehill throwing, hit the over. Money line on the Titans. I think they're going to win. Go ahead and take it. So you can get a parlay, and you can win huge. There's no feeling like nailing a same-game parlay, so lock in today on the FanDuel Sportsbook app and get up to $10 back if your bet doesn't win. If you're new to FanDuel Sportsbook, you can get 30-1 odds on the Chiefs and the Ravens by using the promo code JGM. Again, 30-1 on either team, promo code JGM. 21 and older and present in Tennessee. Refund issued as non-withdrawable site credit that expires in 7 days. Max refund $10. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Same-game parlay available for multiple sports in all states on the mobile/web. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line 1-800-889-9789.
Derrick Henry, stiff arm, touchdown Titans.
Can Derrick Henry and the Titans get into the win column?
Wilson fires downfield, Lockett, he's got it, touchdown.
Or will the defense continue to get exposed when they face Russell Wilson? Tune in all day Monday for full reaction to Titans Seahawks.
Talking Titans?
We are Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Compassion International is in Haiti right now, ready to help those devastated by the earthquake. Make your $40 gift by texting the keyword radio to 97646.
Hi guys, it's Andrew with Hillside Medical Clinic. Are you struggling with erectile dysfunction and sick of pills? Well, I have breaking news. Hillside Medical Clinic uses the most proven form of wave technology available, clinically shown by Cambridge to open up and regrow blood vessels. No pills and no side effects. If you're ready to put a stop to your ED by treating the root cause, call us now, and not only will the assessment and blood flow ultrasound be free, we'll also include something unique that produces powerful results in the bedroom. You're going to love that. And to those that call in the next 2 minutes, you'll qualify for an extra treatment free. This is an unheard of value worth hundreds of dollars. Call 615-576-5000. That's 615-576-5000. Put a stop to your erectile dysfunction and get your love life back. Call Hillside Medical Clinic in the next 2 minutes to qualify for this unprecedented offer. 615-576-5000.
The Electronic Express famous half-price fair is going on now. Save up to 50% in every department. Incredible savings on 4K TVs, appliances, computers, speakers and headphones, smart home, and more. Plus, get up to 36 months free financing. You won't find a lower price anywhere. We guarantee it. The Electronic Express famous half-price fair is first come, first served. Ends Saturday at 9 p.m. Electronic Express. We make it happen.
Boys and Girls Clubs of Middle Tennessee ensures children and teens, especially those who need us most, are ready to read, ready for class, ready to graduate, ready for their career, and ready to serve the community. You can support local youth and their great futures by donating at bgcmt.org.
Interact with Stillman and Company. Call or text the show at 615-737-1025. Driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com.
Stillman and Company Silly Underdog picks are back. Go to GameNashville.com or the ESPN The Game mobile app and pick your underdog teams today. You can win weekly prizes like a pair of tickets to a sporting event or a concert in Nashville. Silly Underdog Picks is brought to you by Volunteer Hose and Gasket. I do owe Taylor Lewan an apology. I just want to make that clear that I guess they did announce him returning to the game, and the fans did boo, and I guess I just didn't pick up on that in the stadium. And apparently a lot of people are blaming the new PA announcer, saying that was like he was trying to hype up the crowd, like, hey, guys, Taylor's back in.
And I think they got the wrong response there.
They booed. And so,
read the
again,
room.
I've been through that. It's, it is what it is. Play better, and they'll cheer. Also, the Titans have added Ryan Santoso to their practice squad. Ian, I guess he must have missed some kicks on Sunday for Carolina because he was their kicker, and I guess he's not their kicker anymore. So
interesting. I didn't
add
see
Ryan's. Yeah, and so Ryan Santoso to the practice squad, and I got to say that I don't feel very great about that. Corey Curtis joins us now on the program. Corey Curtis presented by Invigorate Health. If you look and feel your best with IV therapy, medical weight loss, testosterone, health and wellness, and body shaping treatments, InvigorateHealthTN.com for more info. Corey, I think the Titans are going to win on Sunday, and I think it because over the 3 years that Mike Vrabel has been the coach, every time that they have looked pathetic, they follow it up with a win you don't expect, and I feel like this is setting up for that. But other than that, I cannot put my finger on any one thing that I feel good about right now with the Titans. How do you feel?
Well, the number you're talking about is 8-2. They're 8-2 under Mike Vrabel following a double-digit loss, and they've won 7 in a row following a double-digit loss. Now, that's impressive, but you're going to Seattle, who's one of the better teams in the league, and you're going to be playing their first home game in front of fans in 2 years. It's going to be a really hostile environment. I mean, so if they can pull this off, it will be a very impressive job. Now, I agree with you. There's the old saying that nobody puts baby in a corner. Mike Vrabel in a corner has been really, really good. And I don't know, what his secret sauce is, but he's able to get the team focused, believing, working on the right things. And maybe this team needed some of that. Maybe there was too much press clipping readings going into this season. Who knows? But I do think they'll play better. I don't know if it will be good enough to win because they're playing a good football team.
Here's my question is if they're going to win this game, which I have not been able to come up with in my head, and again, I think they're going to win. If they do win, how are they going to do it? Seattle's one of the better run defensive teams in the league. They were 5th last year, and we just looked it up. They shut down Jonathan Taylor last week. They shut down Zeke last year. They shut down Dalvin Cook last year. I mean, Pete Carroll, they couldn't stop the run to save their lives a couple of years ago. They're great against it now. So if you're not going to be able to run there, and I don't think the Titans are necessarily going to be able to pass there, and I worry about them being able to block and kick and play defense against Russell Wilson, how are they going to win this game?
I don't know. You have spelled out a very problematic situation. They did lock down Jonathan Taylor, but I think he had 6 catches for 60 yards in that game, which would mean this would have been a nice game to have Darrington Evans on the field, right? Mm-hmm. But that's obviously not going to happen because he's still hurt. By the way, he got engaged, so congratulations to him on that. How do they win? Well, I mean, number one, they're going to have to protect their quarterback. And last week, I think the PFF grade for Seattle was the number 2 pass rush for pressure in the league, and they generally do it bringing 4. So they're going to have to pass protect. All right? They're going to have to pass protect. They're going to have to be able to give him time. And you know what? They're going to have the coaching staff's going to have to adapt if they can't do it. They can't just be stubborn and not keep in a tight end to help this week. They can't watch as one guy gets 5 sacks. So they're going to have to find a way to protect the quarterback. And, how do you win in those situations? You create turnovers. I mean, those are game-changing plays. You take care of the ball and you create turnovers. It's what we talked about. This defense all through training camp and all through the preseason was creating turnovers. And the one blip they had in that game against Arizona was when Kevin Byard got the pick and then they scored the touchdown. They were within 11, and you're like, okay, they've got a chance. They've got to be able to do that. Now, against Russell Wilson and company, that's not easy. But, they've got to be themselves. That's the bottom line. They've got to go back to their identity, and that's punching people in the mouth and moving forward and not beating themselves. And they didn't do either of those things last week.
Corey Curtis, News 2's our guest. Do you have as much of a problem with Todd Downing as the fans do?
Look, I am not going to overreact to one game, and it's very difficult to call plays when your offensive line isn't blocking, all right? And they got whipped up front in that football game. I do have a problem, though, as I mentioned earlier, with their total unwillingness to adapt, to keep in. I mean, what did we talk about last year, the whole second half of the season, of why Jonnu Smith's numbers were down? They were down because he wasn't going out in as many pass routes because they were keeping him in to help Quisenberry or Sombrilo at left tackle, right? Well, you're watching Chandler Jones just run roughshod through half your team, okay, and you're not adapting to it. You chip a little bit with the running back, But I was watching. I was like, when are they going to start keeping in a tight end? And they didn't. And frankly, I don't think that Jeff Swain is that valuable out there 15 yards downfield. Just call me crazy. He's had about 10 years in the NFL to prove he is, and he isn't, okay? But for some reason, they had to have him out there, and, you know, they kept putting guys one-on-one in situations where they weren't winning one-on-one. And you have to be able to adapt. You can't just be stubborn. And so I was very, very disappointed with that. I know, you know, there's been a lot of questions about play-action passes. You can't call play-action passes when you're down 20 points. They're not any good. And when you can't run the football, they don't work. They're laughing at you going after your quarterback still. You know, we'll see how this week goes. You know, if things are bad in 3 more weeks, you know, after 4 games, and if we don't see any progress, then, you know, I'll say, well, what the heck is going on here? But, you know, I was disappointed in their inability to adapt more than anything, and that's just one game, so we'll see what happens.
2 things that are bothering me, Corey. One is I don't think they have a tight end or a right tackle, like a starting caliber player on their team at tight end or right tackle. The other is they get absolutely nothing out of this draft class right now, and last year's draft class has one guy that's helping them in Christian Fulton, and I just don't think you can win in the NFL with either of those things.
Well, look, I'm probably biased, I know, because I always joke about him being the all-time leading receiver in Southern Illinois history. But Michael Pruitt might be the best all-around tight end on this team as far as ability to catch the ball and block.
That's true. I don't disagree with you that he may be the best all-around tight end, and he is a practice squad player. So,
well, I think he's better than a practice squad player. I mean, I definitely think he's better than a practice squad player.
But he got cut from the 49ers and went to the practice squad. Like, no other team in the league sees him as a starting tight end, and he may be the best option to start at tight end for this team. And I just don't think you can win in the NFL with that. I
agree with you that they did not approach that position with any type of urgency in the offseason. I mean, they didn't bring in anybody. They didn't even bring Mike Cole back. They planned on replacing him with Tommy Hudson? I don't know. I mean, and this is why we were all saying that they were only going to run, you know, single tight end sets, because it didn't look like they were putting a priority on having quality tight ends on the team. As far as right tackle goes, it is one of the most damning things for this entire organization. In the last 2 drafts, they have used a first-round pick and a second-round pick on their right tackle. Yet, on your opening game of the season, neither one of those guys is even in uniform. That is whiffing on a ridiculously bad level, okay? And I know everybody misses. Everybody misses. We all know that. But wow. I mean, that's rough. That's rough, and it's costing this football team right now.
And the second part being, Corey, the draft class. I mean, last year's draft class, we know that they missed on Isaiah Wilson. We know Darrington Evans can't stay healthy. This year's draft class right now, I mean, I understand the idea that, hey, guys are going to get better over time, but they can't get Caleb Farley on the field. They can't get Dylan Radins on the field. They've already cut Des Fitzpatrick. Rashad Weaver's inactive. I mean, I'm embarrassed with these draft classes right now.
You know, you would think some of these guys could be impact players right out of the gate. I mean, Farley's got a new injury. He's got a shoulder. Did he practice today?
No, he's out.
Oh, God.
See?
Yeah, that's a rough start. That's a rough start. You know, Molden got beat for a touchdown. You know, Radins is, I mean, he's a wash for this year, it looks like. I mean, we talked about how, you know, or I guess I talked about how this draft class was not a draft class to take chances. It's why I was so shocked with the Caleb Farley pick, because I didn't think that they could take a chance after last year. And I understand why they took a chance. But right now, I mean, they got nothing out of their first 3 picks last year. And who are their first 3 picks this year? Farley, Radins, and
Molden. No, Farley, Radins, and Monty Rice.
Monty Rice. Okay. Okay. And then Weaver and Molden are their 4th and 5th picks. Molden played, and Weaver couldn't dress.
Nope. You left Des Fitzpatrick out. The great Des Fitzpatrick. You forgot about him.
They traded up. They traded 3 picks to get him. I mean,
I would not be surprised, and I'm not trying to throw a hot take out here, get anybody fired. I wouldn't be surprised if after the season, you know how coaches fire their coordinators when they're about to get fired because I wouldn't be surprised if Robinson fires the entire scouting staff.
Yeah, I mean, wouldn't be surprised if he reorganized it, moved some guys around or something, because you're right. I mean, it's, ultimately he's the one pulling the trigger on those players. But wow, I mean, and then, it sounds like we're just piling on John Robinson, who we all like and all have a lot of respect for, but the results are the results, right? I mean, and we're just talking about what the results are. Last year they aren't good, and this year they aren't good. And then we also just talked about no urgency at tight end, and they're not getting anything out of that position. And what was the other position there was no urgency out of?
Right tackle.
Kicker.
Oh, yeah, kicker. You're right.
Yeah, they drafted a kicker in the second round. They thought they had one. They missed. There was no urgency on kicker, and we're back on the carousel again.
Yes. Corey Curtis, News 2 with us. Fireball Hot Take Friday. What's your hot take this week, Corey?
I got nothing. I'm just going to say I got nothing. I got no hot takes because you know why I got no hot takes? Because it's week 2 in the NFL, and you just don't know.
That's the best time for hot takes. What are you talking about?
But you think you can react to week 1, but you can't because it's just so completely different. I mean, it's like bizarro world. You know what? I'll give you a gambling hot take. I love the Chargers and Cowboys over. Love it.
I don't even know if I can watch that game.
55 points. 55 points. Going over. Right. I'm going over.
You don't even have a hot take that Daniel Jones stinks or anything after last night?
No. Look,
I think Daniel Jones stinks.
The division stinks. The division's terrible.
Corey Curtis, News 2. As always, News 2 has tons of Titans coverage. Tia Nation on Saturday, and, of course, Sports Extra and all their coverage following the game on Sundays. Appreciate you, Corey.
All right, thanks, Joe. You have a good weekend.
Yep, you too. Corey Curtis, News 2, joining us on the program. I do feel bad, looking at these draft classes and the fact that Caleb Farley is out for this Sunday against Seattle and talking bad about the draft class and making it about John Robinson, because I think John Robinson's doing a good job. But, I mean, somebody at some point in this scouting department has got to go. I mean, this is embarrassing.
I mean,
what's going on with these draft classes.
This is a perpetual issue because whiffing on a pick, whiffing on a draft, it happens. It's, you do what you can to try and predict who's going to bring the most to your team, but sometimes things happen.
I mean,
Isaiah Wilson, for example, did anybody know that it would end up being that bad?
Sure. And the one thing I'll say, too, is when you make a bad pick, sometimes there's a good pick that covers that up.
Exactly.
So Pac-Man Jones was a bad pick in 2005, but Cortland Finnegan was taken in the 7th round in 2006. So it's okay, that kind of made you take a 7th-round guy that's a Pro Bowler, okay. But, I mean, this is just bad.
To continuously do it. The fact that the Titans have one pick in the past 2 drafts on the field on Sunday.
That's embarrassing. 2, because Molden's on the field.
Well, in week 1, it was 1.
Molden's not ready to play.
2 in week 2.
And the second thing is, this is what they need to do. They need to take the personnel files, the personnel roster, not football, but in the scouting department or whatever. They need to get that. They need to look at the 29 scouting department roster, the 2020, 2021. Whoever was there in 2019, who's not there in 2020 and 2021, I don't care if it's Janice who makes the coffee in the office. I don't care. Get them back. Because I don't know how you go from Jeffrey Simmons, A.J. Brown, Nate Davis, Amani Hooker to this.
I'm sure it had something to do with Janice.
Janice,
just putting something in that coffee.
Get that coffee back,
Janice. Back.
Oh my! Whoever the hell it is, if it's Janice or Joseph,
Steve has done a great job.
And Steve's working for the pick a random bum team. Steve's now with the Jets. Get Steve.
Get Steve back.
Steve.
It's way better this time of year in Nashville than it is in New York.
Now. Because the defense can't figure out that Dean Pease, smoke and mirrored his way to not horrible defenses for 2 years. They need to kind of figure out whoever the Dean Pease was in the scouting department, they need to bring that person back. And don't let anybody's ego, Robinson or Vrabel's, don't let that get in the way. Just go bring that person back. 615-737-1025. A.J. Brown. I already got mad about Taylor Lewan about attention grabbing.
You mad again?
I'm not mad, but I am annoyed, given the circumstances, about something A.J. Brown did yesterday. We'll get to that coming up next. Edmunds, my people at Edmunds, buying a car can be overwhelming, especially now that demand is back in full swing. Luckily for you, Edmunds has been taking the stress out of car shopping for over 50 years. That's right. Trust me, I know all of the stress that comes with buying a car. Financing the car, how are you going to do that? Is this a car that fits your price range? There's a lot of things you got to figure out. Edmunds editors, though, will make it a lot easier to pick which one you want because their drivers drive over half a miles every year, testing thousands of hours on hundreds of new vehicles. They review almost every car in the market and rank the best ones in each category so you can narrow your search and compare options side by side to find the best vehicle for you. When you're ready, my friends at Edmunds make it easy to find options in your area with accurate price estimates. They've got helpful filters so you can search color, model, special features, engine type, drivetrain, price, distance, and more. They even show you dealerships that are offering home delivery. I love that. Edmunds is here to help guide you to your perfect vehicle. Visit Edmunds.com to see their best car rankings and search for vehicles near you. That's EDMUNDS.com. For cars, there's Edmunds.
Titans, Seahawks. The Two-Tone Blues seeks a Week 2 victory in hostile territory. Tune in Sunday at 1 for NFL pregame with Jared Stillman, Chris Sanders, and Mark Howard. Live from Corner Pub in Cool Springs. We are Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
The Rock Holiday Tradition returns. Trans-Siberian Orchestra live in concert. December 1st, Bridgestone Arena. Tickets on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. Millions have witnessed this electrifying concert experience. Trans-Siberian Orchestra's Christmas Eve and Other Stories. Live at Bridgestone Arena, December 1st. The story continues.
Do you have a VA or FHA home loan? You gotta listen to this important update from Loan Pronto. You can refi now and snag a new rate in the low twos. Lower your house payment big time. Hey, it's Willie Donick, and wait, it gets even better. With Loan Pronto, you can do this with no appraisal, no income documentation, and no cash due at signing. Who else does this? VA and FHA mortgage rates have come down a lot. You need to act now. Loan Pronto specializes in VA and FHA streamlined loan. They can even cover all your closing costs, and you will love their all-digital, no-hassle process. Call Loan Pronto now or go to loanpronto.com. They also have options where VA homeowners can refinance and get cash out of your home's equity, up to 100% of its value. Pay off credit cards or do that home improvement project. Call Loan Pronto, 615-499-5780 or loanpronto.com. VA and FHA loans made simple. 615-499-5780. Equal housing lender. NMLS 1661781. Subject to lender approval. Not all loans eligible for zero-cost refi.
Hi, golfing friends. We're here to tell you about the 54-year anniversary membership special at Oak Hills Golf Course in Greenbrier. For only $89 a year with a $10 per year admin fee, you can get a 2-year anniversary membership at Oak Hills and enjoy unlimited golf from Monday through Sunday. Call Oak Hills Golf Course today to respond to this special offer before it's over. To get your $89 membership today, go to OakHillsGolfCourseTN.com or call 615-643-4505.
Saturday night, the MTSU Blue Raiders kick off Conference USA play when they head to San Antonio to go head-to-head with the UTSA Roadrunners.
Touchdown, Middle Tennessee!
Coverage begins at 4
on ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey Nashville, Trey Wingo here. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Stillman and Company on a Fireball Hot Take Friday. Let me tell all the fine folks out there that you can, hold on. Do you want to win a pair of tickets to see the Rolling Stones at Nissan Stadium on Saturday, October 9th? Head over to YouTube and subscribe to the 102.5 The Game YouTube page, and you'll enter for your chance to see the Stones. One winner will be chosen on Monday, September 20th, and that is kind of a big deal since it is, in fact, the Rolling Stones. A.J. Brown's mad at Outkick 360. So Chad Withrow will be with us later today. But A.J. Brown, and I didn't see this until earlier today, Robbie and Rexford were talking about it, but A.J. Brown, and I have no idea what A.J. said, and I have no idea what Paul, Hutton, and Chad said. So I just not to say that I like those guys, but I don't know what they said. So yesterday they tweeted out the link to their show and said, A.J. Brown wants Titan fans to know the team is trying their best. A.J. Brown. They also did not tag A.J. Brown in this tweet. So somebody must have tagged A.J. and A.J. saw it or something.
Or A.J. searches himself on Twitter.
Which I wouldn't rule out. A.J. Brown said, quote, "Look, you three clowns. Yes, I called you a clown because y'all have a lot to say and never played a sport in your life, but knows everything somehow. I do not tweet about my job or my team. You can be negative, that's fine, but stop trying to make something out of my tweets." I have no idea what he tweeted. I have no idea what they're referring to. I have no idea. Can I say I'm a little bothered by A.J. Brown on the Thursday of the Seattle Seahawks week being focused on what Outkick 360 is saying about him?
And I think that we had this conversation about a month or so ago about why is A.J. Brown so concerned about what people are saying on Twitter, what the media is saying. Yeah. Why are you so worried? Was it Josh Reynolds?
Yeah,
that's
Paul,
when he got mad at Paul Kaharski.
Paul had a video of Josh Reynolds.
He said he didn't look explosive.
And by the way, where's Josh Reynolds?
Yes. What happened to this dangerous offense, Josh? Anyways, I do have an issue. I understand A.J. Brown wanting to step up and be a leader, defend his teammates. And, if you want to do that during training camp when it's July 1st, I don't have as big of a problem with it. But I feel like whenever it's week 1, whenever preseason game starts, there is nothing else that should matter in your life. There's nothing that should rile you up more than losing week 1 to the Arizona Cardinals. Like Paul and Hutton and Chad worked up A.J. Brown. I mean, get off of Twitter, dude.
You're like, who cares?
Who cares? Who cares what they say?
Who cares?
And also them saying that, A.J. Brown, said, what did he say? What did Outkick 360 say? Saying that A.J. Brown said
he wants Titan fans to know that they're trying hard.
What is bad about that? I mean, I don't understand the context, but they didn't say A.J. Brown is a bad guy and we should all hate him. No, I don't understand what the problem is here.
So there's a couple of things that bother me about this. The first off being, dude, get ready for the Seahawks.
Yeah.
Get off the phone. Press click and it's gone. And I don't have a lot of sympathy for guys that make a lot of money that can't do that. That can't log off Twitter. And there are some people that just can't do it. Kurt Schilling was the #1 broadcast analyst on ESPN for baseball. Would be in the Baseball Hall of Fame if he could just click off.
Yeah.
Just click off. Just turn it off. Oh, look, click. It's off. It's gone.
It doesn't exist anymore.
So that bothers me, that AJ is that worked up. That bothers me. It's where's your head at? And I'm not sitting here saying your head's not in the game, but I'm asking you, where's your head at, ? Secondly, thing that bothers me about this is that, do you really want to start, you stay out of the sports talk radio and whatever, you want to call what Outkick 360 is, because it's not radio, but it's, digital radio,
streaming
basically.
Service, yeah.
Sports talk radio is like a playground. It's where everybody just goes to get away. But the players and the coaches need to stay out of it. Now, even Jerry Jones said today that he listens. Jerry Jones has $1 gazillion. And he said today, admitted, yeah, I listen. I read. And I've always said that the people that say they don't listen are always the ones who listen the most. But the players, for the most part, need to not worry about that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
They need to not watch the TV. They need to not, they just need to ignore it. And there's one of two things. Either you can read it and ignore it. When everybody says, I hate Jared Stillman on Twitter, I read it and I ignore it. Now, if it's Chris Martell spent, 5 years every day tweeting about me. Finally, I had to body bag the guy because he was just driving me insane. But even then, I didn't want to do it because as a media person, I just view him so beneath that. Or so beneath me, I guess. And I just, at some point, I all right, fine, click. But when it comes to something that matters, no. You got to stay out of it. And I think, okay, either you can be the person who can read it and just dismiss it and go on about your day, or you got to be the person who just has to turn it off. And you have to pick. And clearly, AJ can't be the person to turn it off. Or AJ can't be the person to read it and dismiss it. So he's got to be the one to turn it off. And I'm not saying it's a bad look, good look, whatever. I mean, he puts up 200 yards this week, good for him. But, like, where is his head at if he's that mad at Paul Kaharski and subsequently dragging Hutton and Chad into this? Like, how focused can he be on trying to beat the Seahawks if he's on Twitter getting mad at Paul Kaharski? And I know, you can do more than one thing at once. I get it. I've been watching, 1990s basketball highlights for the last 2 months, and we've, did the best August in the history of Stillman and Company. So you can do more than one thing at once. I mean, you can be a teacher and also be a millionaire, apparently, according to Dave Ramsey.
According to Dave Ramsey.
I mean, so you can do anything, I guess. But I like, AJ, just put it down.
Yeah, and
Click.
I think that there's nothing that you could say on Twitter that speaks louder volume than what you could do on the field. So, AJ, You're upset about, Outkick 360 saying that the Titans are trying hard, that they're trying hard to win. Well, you know what? Why don't you go out and try hard to win on Sunday?
And then go win.
And then go win. And then go show them, look, we're trying. We're a better team than this. There's nothing that A.J. Brown could do in a positive way. I think there were some things that he could do off the field that would probably speak a little bit louder, but you know what I mean. Nothing speaks louder than your performance on the field on Sunday. Yeah. So, I mean, I've never been a professional athlete. I've been a student. If I have a huge test, a big test, this is one of my 17 tests of the year, I'm putting Twitter away, and I'm focusing on that one test, and that's exactly what A.J. Brown has.
And if you can't handle it professionally, then you got to turn it off.
Yeah.
And so I think A.J.'s got to be one of these guys, and he won't be. But I feel like A.J. maybe needs to be one of these guys that just, logs out during the season. I think it was like the Celtics had to have a meeting with Kyrie Irving and tell him to get off Instagram one time because it was like ruining his happiness. And it's like, it's different for the younger people nowadays.
Social media is tricky.
Social media is awful. TriStar Moving, they're not. They're great. 615-7. Seriously, if you're thinking about moving, don't just call one moving company. I would say get bids and watch how great the TriStar experience is. In fact, I lied. Call one company. Call TriStar because they're my official movers, and I absolutely love them. But seriously, get a bid from TriStar if you're going to move and just see what they say because I know the owners, Garrett and Robert, and they're true Nashvillians, and they want to help out the community, and they want to take care of your home and make sure that your moving experience is as stress-free as possible. They will protect your home, and they're always upping the game when it comes to mover training. When I moved, all my furniture and everything else was taken great care of, including all the TVs they put in protective boxes. They even have a state-of-the-art storage facility in Mount Juliet. This company is the real deal, and they're on the rise quickly due to the high standards that TriStar Moving holds. If you're looking to move, give my friends at TriStar Moving a call, 615-640-1219, or visit that website, nashvillemoving.org/radio, where they'll give you 5% off your entire move. That's TriStar Moving, 615-640-1219, nashvillemoving.org/radio. Tell them Jared Stillman sent you. TriStar Moving, my official movers.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
I'm Fox 17 meteorologist Greg Bobus. Late morning into the afternoon, chance for a few isolated showers and thunderstorms, staying on the non-severe side. High temperatures for your Friday are going to be in the middle 80s with a touch of humidity and will stay just as warm for Saturday and Sunday.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
Forecast? Quality candidates ahead. Indeed skills tests help you find the right hire faster. Screen for skills your job requires. Hiring becomes a breeze. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
It's soccer season in Tennessee. You want goals?
He takes it inside, outside, right foot. Great finish! What a goal!
You want saves?
Lifted high, into the hands of Joe Willis. He makes the catch.
You want big drama?
Hooked in and headed in. Delirium! It's Yonder Cadiz!
Nashville SC are back at home Wednesday, September 29th versus Orlando City SC. The action kicks off at 7:30 p.m. Tickets on sale now at NashvilleSC.com.
How'd you like that?
I come from a military family.
That's Stasha at Genesis Diamonds talking about the Hero Rewards program at Genesis, providing special discounts every day for heroes in uniform.
Whatever their budget is, we're going to make sure it stretches the best for them and that they will get the most beautiful ring at the best value.
Special hero pricing on any item extends to all military plus police, fire, and first responders.
They make us have the great life we have, and we are eternally grateful for that.
Genesis Hero Rewards program and free services is yours for life, no matter where you move.
Travel anywhere in the world, we're one phone call away. So no matter where you're stationed, if you're military or if you're a police officer and you go to another state, we're going to take good care of you.
Of course, it doesn't hurt that Genesis owner Boaz Ramon is himself a veteran of the Israeli army.
Boaz, having served in the military, appreciates the military and what they do for us.
Genesis Diamonds, where our heroes in uniform get red carpet pricing and white glove treatment every day of the year.
We're there for them because they're there for us.
Genesis Diamonds, continuously voted best jewelry store and best place to buy an engagement ring. Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Darren McFarland.
He's cool. He's got a personality, and they make fun of him.
Willie Donick.
Would this be a fun guy to come to work and hang around with all day?
Chase McCabe.
They're just like, hey, we need you to play yourself.
Darren, Donick, and Chase have you covered weekdays from 10 to 2. Presented by Curacion CBD on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
This is Stillman and Company. Delivered by TriStar Moving.
Join Chase McCabe tomorrow at Brewhouse South at 1855 Galleria Boulevard in Franklin for Chasers Tailgate. Stop by and hang with Chase and watch the Alabama-Florida game. Enjoy some beer specials and some great food. Kickoff for the game is at 2:30. Can we get watching the game at my house sponsored?
No.
Why not?
Judge says no.
You are not the judge.
I am. Yes, I am.
I did ask you the question though. You don't think somebody would want to come up in my TV room and watch the game with me and have that sponsored, presented by so and so?
What's the catch here? What's the allure?
It's like one lucky winner every month gets to watch a Titans game with me at my house.
We'll pitch it. I'm sure someone would love to do that.
But then I want to be the one that reaps the benefit of the money that comes in there, and then the more I thought about that probably
you
not
just
gonna happen.
Want money,
just free money,
and someone to hang out with.
Sure. I mean, I'm sacrificing
all around a great day.
I usually watch the Titans games at my parents' house with my dad, so I'd be sacrificing that.
Oh no!
But I've watched
I think you could grin and bear it if that meant a check comes your way.
I think I've watched 3 or 4 Titan games at home, like my own house.
Well, I mean, it's kind of fun. Go to your parents' house.
Oh, yeah.
Get free
food. As soon as pregame show's over, I'm in the car, and I'm over there at my parents' house watching the game with my dad.
That's fun.
Going crazy about the coaches.
I would if I could.
Titans text 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Phone lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com on a Fireball Hot Take Friday. What do we have, Caroline?
One texter texts in and says, should have paid Jonnu and let Arthur keep Julio. At least we'd have another super freak on the team in their prime who can do it all.
I am not the biggest Jonnu Smith fan in the world because I do think that you can get a tight end who can help you win, who is less money than Jonnu Smith. Mm-hmm. I love Jonnu Smith at the rookie contract, the prices, the $900,000 against the cap, as opposed to the $15 million or whatever that Jonnu's ultimately going to start costing the Patriots. I'm not a huge fan of that. At the same time, they don't have a starting tight end. The Titans do not have a starting tight end. And I got to tell you what was concerning to me in week 1. And I don't think we discussed this enough, but I found it very concerning how little Anthony Firkser played in running situations. Because for the whole offseason, I said, Firkser's not a starter. He's just not a starter. And everybody said, Firkser will be fine. He'll be fine. And I remember TD and I were arguing one time because I said to TD, I'm like, Firkser can't block. And TD said, well, he doesn't have to block. He just has to get in the way. And I'm like, And then when I see them not putting Firkser in the game in running situations on Sunday, I get concerned that the Titans really don't think Firkser can block. The only reason I entertained that they thought he could block, because they've never trusted him to block in the last 3 years, the only thing that it made me think that they thought he could block is that they didn't go out and sign Gerald Everett to a 1-year, $5 million contract, or they didn't sign Jared Cook, or they didn't sign, one of these guys. They didn't draft anybody. They didn't do anything. And so I'm like, okay, I guess they think that they've taught Firkser how to block. And now Firkser's not out there on the field. And I said to my dad the other day, I said, can you imagine the Titans telling Frank Wycheck, hey, you're not going to block. And then having to take Frank Wycheck off the field every time they gave the ball to Eddie George? They would have never won a game. And so I have such a problem with this. They don't have a tight end. And I'm not asking to have a good tight end. I'm just asking to have any tight end. And they don't have a starting tight end. Swaim is not a starter. He was cut by Jacksonville. He was a third stringer in Dallas, and he was your fourth string tight end last year. You had Jonnu Smith, Anthony Ferguson, Michael Pruitt, Jeff Swaim. He was your fourth string tight end, and he is your starting tight end. And that's embarrassing. Like, that's embarrassing. And you can't win in the NFL with that. You can't win in the NFL with a backup right tackle and a backup tight end. Because while injuries happen, and not every player by the time you get to the Super Bowl is going to be a Pro Bowl caliber player or even a starting caliber player, you have to account for those injuries eventually catching up with you. So every team's going to get injured X amount of times. So if you've got a backup right tackle because you don't have a starting right tackle and then somebody else gets hurt, now you're putting more pressure on your already backup tight end. And that's what the Titans are doing with their tight end and right tackle. And it drives me insane because it's ridiculous. It was like last year when they would leave up 3 outside linebackers for games. I'm like, is Harold Landry going to get a rest? No. I felt like that was ridiculous. What else we got?
Well, we have a very split consensus about the game on Sunday. There are some people who think it's absolutely absurd that the Titans have any chance to win on Sunday. There are some people that are kind of with you that are like, the Titans have done this before and they'll do it again. But David in Arkansas is not one of those people. He says simply no. The crowd will be too much. O-line sucked last week. Imagine what it'll be like when communication will be limited. They'll eat Tannehill and Henry up again.
What do you think the final score is if the Titans play on Sunday the same way they played last Sunday against Arizona?
45-3.
I don't discredit any of that.
It may sound ridiculous, but if it was that bad against Arizona, Seattle's that much better.
I don't discredit any of that. And I'm scared of that, honestly. Like I said, I think the Titans are going to win on Sunday. But I am scared, like legitimately worried that the game on Sunday is going to remind you of the Arizona game. And if that happens, then we have to talk about how bad this team is. And if that happens, then you're going to start seeing a lot of finger pointing. Mm-hmm. Because you're going to see, this whole Vrabel-Robinson thing, case in point, everybody hates the coordinators right now. Well, that's a Vrabel problem. But they're not getting anything from their draft class. They don't have a starting right tackle. They don't have a starting tight end. That's a Robinson thing. And you're going to start to see something, and I just don't want any part of that. So I am fearful. While I am hopeful and expecting them to win on Sunday, I am fearful that what we saw Sunday was not an aberration and that is who they are. And you can feel more than one thing at one time. And that's how I feel about it. 615-737-1025. Coming up next, Marcus Spears. My goodness.
Ooh, he was heated.
Did you guys talk about that yesterday?
We did not.
Okay, I want to get to it now. Marcus Spears, because even if you guys had talked about it yesterday when I was out,
it still deserves to be addressed.
I'm discussing this. Marcus Spears on the Titans defense. And I got to say this. He makes some points. We'll get to that coming up next. First, though, Caroline wants to tell all of you about BetUS.
I have a message for the sports bettors out there because I want to tell you about my favorite sports book, and that is BetUS. Football is finally back, so it's time to get in on the betting action. So BetUS has been America's favorite sports book for over 25 years, and that is exactly why I endorse them. They've been around a long time. They have a great reputation. They have integrity and longevity, and when you win, you know you will get paid with BetUS. So BetUS offers everything. They have live bets, they have MMA, they have golf, they have horses, esports, football, basketball, baseball, whatever you want to bet on, I guarantee you they have it. So call BetUS today and they'll walk you through setting up an account. Super easy. All you got to do, call 1-800-79-BET-US. That is 1-800-79-BET-US, and you can get up to 200% in bonuses. Nobody in the industry gives bigger bonuses than BetUS. Join now, mention GAME, G-A-M-E, and you can get a sign-up bonus on your first deposit. Nobody in the industry beats that. I bet at BetUS, so should you. It's a great sports book. Go now to BetUS.com. Join today. Put in promo code GAME for a sign-up bonus on your first deposit. That is BetUS.com.
From all-day talk,
the good shooters, you notice, because their shot looks different. The puck just seems to be on the goalie quicker.
To the biggest games.
Open man is Devontae Smith, touchdown.
Nashville's best sports talk is always at your fingertips. Just search The Game Nashville in your app store and download today. And keep it locked on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
1025 The Game.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Hey.
Nice tailgate setup.
Thanks. Dos Equis?
Sure.
Really hits the spot.
Oh, yeah, that's good. Well, I hope your team never wins as long as I'm alive.
Same to you.
A dose of respect. Brought to you by Dos Equis, proud sponsor of college football. Get a dose. Enjoy Dos Equis responsibly. Copyright 2021. Imported by Cervezas Mexicanas, White Plains, New York.
It's back. The world's biggest spa sale at Family Leisure.
How do you know it's the world's biggest spa sale?
Well, it has to be. It is sponsored by Artesian, American Select, and Strong Spas. Those are some of the biggest brands, and it's at 12 Family Leisure locations across the country.
That is pretty big, but
there's more than 700 spas in stock and incoming at the Family Leisure stores, and many more display model spas at liquidation prices. Spa prices start as low as $39.99. It's the world's biggest spa sale at Family Leisure. Both locations, Franklin and Antioch.
Where family and fun come together.
No one outfits golfers better than Edwin Watts Golf Shops. We've been fitting golfers since 1968. Utilizing cutting-edge fitting technology, we'll analyze your swing and our Foresight launch monitors and fit you with the perfect club, pair of shoes, the latest golf apparel, golf balls, bags, and more. So come by today for your complete custom fitting. Edwin Watts Golf Shops, home of the 90-day 100% satisfaction guarantee.
Tune in every Monday at 8 a.m. and Friday at 3:15 to hear News 2's Corey Curtis take on all things Nashville sports, including the week's NFL games. All brought to you by Invigorate Health in Mount Juliet. Look and feel your best with IV therapy, medical weight loss, testosterone, body shaping, and more.
312 Pizza Company is Nashville's authentic Chicago pizzeria, and they're now hiring. Work for a family-owned business and be a part of their incredible team. 312 Pizza Company is hiring for all positions, including host, waitstaff, bartenders, cooks, and more. 312 Pizza Company offers health insurance and paid time off to full-time employees. Contact Kimberly at 615-730-7888 or email at contact@312pizzaco.com. 312 is an equal opportunity employer.
Nashville's best sports talk, locally owned, home of our Nashville Predators. WPRT FM Pegram, 97.5 Murfreesboro, WBUZ HD2 Laverne, online at thegamenashville.com. We are
ESPN
102.5 The Game. Live from the Game Nashville studios, it's Stillman and Company. Delivered by TriStar Moving. TriStar Movers with 5-star service. With Jared Stillman on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company is delivered by TriStar Moving. ESPN 102.5 The Game. Fireball Hot Take Friday. We are streaming on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube thanks to the law office of Amanda Gentry. The Titans defense. Now, I told you guys, Titans defense last year, an abomination. Week 1 against Arizona and Kyler Murray, I didn't think, I wasn't ready to throw him under the bus. I thought the offense put him in a horrible spot. You're immediately down 10-0. DeAndre, short fields, turnover, DeAndre Hopkins, bad punting, bad kicking. Kyler Murray made one great play that he's the only guy in the league that can probably make that play. Maybe Lamar, that made that one play on the third down. And while I didn't love the defense, I also thought that, take away 14 points that the Titans just handed Arizona, and you're talking about 25 points for the game, and that's probably something that would not be the end of the world. So I wasn't ready just to dump on the Titans' defense in Week 1. But I am worried about the Titans' defense because the Titans' defense was horrible last season. And Marcus Spears was on ESPN on NFL Live and slammed the Titans' defense. Now, before we play this clip, Ian, I'm sorry about that. Before we play this clip, I just want to say, when I saw Marcus Spears slam the Titans defense, I thought, well, okay, this is just, the national people don't watch Titans games. They see the final score. They see 4 touchdowns for Kyler Murray, and they're just like, that defense last year that was so bad is so bad this year. And that's what I assumed that this was from Marcus Spears. But then I listened to what the Swagoo had to say, and I think he makes some points. Take a listen.
Kyler Murray runs I don't even know what you call it, D.O., but it's a fake zone, and it's a keeper, a QB keeper. And the end man
down in the red zone?
Yeah, the end man on the line of scrimmage, Key, you know this. The end man on the line of scrimmage, shoulders are turned towards the sideline.
Right.
Everything you learn about playing football on the end of the line is to keep square until it's an absolute close down to the ball.
Yeah.
That's number one. Number two, A.J. Green runs up the sideline. They're in zone. Yeah. They're in zone. And the DB bites on the underneath route and drops A.J. Green off, and it's a shot in the hole. You go cover 0 in the red zone. I'm pissed off about this defense, y'all. You go cover 3 in the red zone with Kyler Murray. Cool. You want to pressure? You want to get the ball out of his hands? Cool. Tell your DB, don't run up on Christian Kirk and jam in 0. Yeah. Like, just keep a little room. And then
run by you.
He gonna run by you. And then D-Hop, cover 1, okay? You got Byard, a safety, covering DeAndre Hopkins in the slot. DeAndre Hopkins catch a quick pass, spin out, and scores a touchdown.
You're talking about the touchdown, yeah.
No, come on, man.
Pressured.
Like, so beyond getting beat, people can get beat. This the league. Bro, competence. That defense was so undisciplined.
So I'm not a football guy. You know, I'm not what Floyd was, who can sit there and tell you exactly whether or not Marcus Spears is right about jamming a guy in cover 0. It makes sense to me, though. You know, and those are coaching things. And it makes sense to me. And what did we talk about with Molden? Remember the Molden touchdown to Christian Kirk? What did Arizona do right before they threw that touchdown?
Called a timeout.
Called timeout. Maybe they saw exactly what Marcus Spears was telling you right there. Hey, it's cover 0 and he's jamming you. Timeout. Hey, beat him and it's a touchdown. Because Kyler took the ball and immediately popped it over. He didn't even look at Kirk. He just threw it as soon as he got it because he knew they were blitzing. Timeout, Arizona. Here comes the blitz. Popped it over for a touchdown. I hear, and I don't know exactly know what they were talking about, the play where the DB passed off A.J. Green, and as Marcus Spears said, it was a shot in the hole. But I know what he's saying. Basically, I passed him off to the guy behind me. The guy behind me didn't come up, so A.J. Green's just standing there saying, hey, guys, throw me the ball. Those are coaching issues. And we've talked and talked and talked about Shane Bowen and the Titans defense. We have done this since the day Dean Pease left. And when Dean Pease left, I mean, there was all this talk about, no, it'll be okay. And then last year, there was all the drama about, well, who's calling the plays? I don't know. Is it Vrabel? Is it Bowen? Who's coming up with the game plans? And it was terrible. And then at the end of the year, Vrabel told us it was Bowen. And then they promoted Bowen and they made him defensive coordinator. And they signed him Bud Dupree. And they drafted him Elijah Molden. And they got him Jack Rabbit Jenkins, and they got guys that didn't have the right attitude. They thought like a Dory Jackson out of here, and it's still a mess. And I am not throwing Bowen under the bus yet, but I think that his leash should be a lot shorter than Todd Downing's because Shane Bowen got a crack at this last year, and because there's an option to replace him on the coaching staff right now, and we all know who it is. And we all know how good of a defensive coordinator Jim Schwartz is. And I'm wondering, after hearing that Marcus Spears clip, if we should start talking about whether or not Shane Bowen should be on the clock here.
When it comes down to it, you know, you can look at a bad game and say, you know, these players just aren't good enough. They just can't beat their defenders. They just can't beat whoever they're defending, so on and so forth. But like we said, this wasn't a matter of talent. You know, of course, there are some areas, like we mentioned, Elijah Molden, who just isn't necessarily ready for the league yet. Sure. But there's plenty of talent on this Titans defense. And it's the matter of how they're managed. And that's Shane Bowen.
I mean, there's a lot of things. Like, there was one where Rashawn Evans was covering a wide receiver on Sunday. Who called that?
Yeah.
Like, how did that happen? And I do wonder if, and you'd have to almost force Vrabel to do this because he'd go kicking and screaming if you made him do it. But you made the last coach do it and fired him over it. So I do wonder if you're John Robinson and you're looking at this defense and you look at all the guys you spent all this money on. You spent all the money on Clowney and Beasley and Dupree and Jackrabbit Jenkins and Jayon Brown, $5.5 million as a free agent, and the draft picks you spent, Danico Autry, and all the money you've spent. And if the defense isn't getting better, I wonder at what point do you go to Vrabel and say, okay, it's time for Jim Schwartz to run the defense? Because I do wonder if Russell Wilson slices this defense up, and I am scared to death of Russell Wilson on Sunday.
Oh, I am too.
I mean, I am scared to
I'm
death.
scared to death about most of the aspects of the Seahawks offense.
Sure, their offensive line isn't great. Other than that, they got 2 wide receivers that can ball. I like their tight end, Gerald Everett. I like their running back, Chris Carson. And I think Russell Wilson is awesome. And you're playing at Seattle. And so if this becomes a thing where the defense is just as bad as they've been and it doesn't look like it's getting any better, I think the Titans have to think about making the move to Jim Schwartz. And I almost think that they have to make the move to Jim Schwartz. And if they don't make the move to Jim Schwartz, then the question has to be, what the hell does Jim Schwartz do? Or why the hell is Jim Schwartz here? So I do think it's time to – I'm not saying that after this game they should make the move to Schwartz, but I'm thinking after a month, if the defense is still bad, make the move to Jim Schwartz.
And that's what I was going to ask, because you said that Shane Bowen's leash is a little bit shorter than Todd Downing. And
it should be shorter than Todd Downing.
I do think that's fair, seeing as though the Titans' defense was awful last year under the reins of Shane Bowen. If they continue that same trend, then there needs to be a change. You said week 8, correct, for Todd Downing?
Well, no. I just said with Downing, like, if we get 6 bad games, okay, fine, I know you stink.
Oh, yes, that's when we feel confident that we can have our mind made up.
I don't have a week in mind for Downing. I just know that, like, I need some more games. Like, I need some more games before
1 week is not fair.
I can judge Todd Downing. Shane Bowen, I mean, I think he probably gets like another game or 2, and then it's time to make the move to Schwartz. And the other thing, too, is there is somebody else that the Titans have that can literally come in right now and take that job from Jim Schwartz. Now, I don't think Vrabel's going to do it. Like, I don't think Vrabel would let you do that, only because Vrabel wants his hands on the defense, and if you tell Vrabel that Schwartz is running the defense, he's going to throw a fit. But I would say you fired the last coach because he wouldn't get rid of Terry Robisky, so I don't see why we shouldn't hold Vrabel to the same standard. And I know we've got a rule on the show that we don't get anybody in trouble for something that they didn't do, which is why I'm not saying to make the move to Schwartz today. I am saying that it should be in the back of all of our minds that the Titans should be able to make the move to Jim Schwartz if Shane Bowen doesn't put together a competent defense and it becomes obvious that he doesn't have any plans on doing so.
Well, and that's kind of what I was going to say is, we're not going to get anyone in trouble for doing something that they didn't do, but Shane Bowen's done it. Now, it's to what level do we feel comfortable of him doing it so much and so often and not being competent at his job? What level are we going to say, okay, this is enough, we have a big enough sample size to say that, to feel confident enough to say that he is not fit for this job? But he did do it. Like, I'm not going to say that it's all speculation, because we've seen a bad defense from Shane Bowen time and time again, including week 1.
And we've seen what a good defensive coordinator can do here. We saw it. Dick LeBeau and Dean Pease are great defensive coordinators. And we saw what they did. I mean, they made chicken salad. So I know a good defensive coordinator can make chicken salad. I know a good defensive coordinator under Vrabel can make chicken salad. I know Jim Schwartz is a good defensive coordinator. To me, that adds it all up. I would tell you this. I'd make the move if Russell goes in there and drops 45. If I were in charge, if Russell goes in there and does whatever he wants this week, I'd make the move to Schwartz. And I'd announce it because I need the defensive players to know, hey, we're trying everything to put you guys in a position to win. And then if I make the move to Schwartz and it still doesn't work out, then I got to look at Robinson. But right now, the more I talk this through and I just said, I give Bowen a month, I think if Russell embarrasses him on Sunday, I think you make the move to Schwartz.
But do you not think that's going to cause so much tension between Vrabel and Schwartz?
I don't care.
You don't care if your head coach and your defensive coordinator butt heads?
I'd rather my head coach and defensive coordinator butt heads but actually be able to stop somebody on third down than my head coach and defensive coordinator pat each other on the ass but not be able to get off the field.
I guess that's fair.
So sometimes tension's not bad. And I also think, maybe Vrabel, if he won't do this because he wouldn't get rid of Bowen at the end of the year, maybe Vrabel needs a kick in the bum as far as all this is concerned with the defense. Because we know Wesley Woodyard.
Former defensive coordinator.
Isn't the writing on the wall? Dean Pease retired, and as soon as somebody else got a job, Dean Pease went to go be defensive. Dean Pease is 60 billion years old, and Dean retired for like the third time. And obviously retirement is not for Dean. And Floyd told me one time, we were talking about Dean when Dean put out through Gentry Estes of the Tennessean last year, Dean put out that, he missed coaching. And then it became this whole topic of, so does Dean want to come back and be Titans defensive coordinator, which I was totally for. One of the last shows we ever did was talking about that, and I totally supported it, and I was totally for bringing Dean Pease in off the street and putting Dean Pease out there to coach. But Dean was like, no, the Titans are fine. They'll be fine. And then Dean at, age 900, and I love Dean, but Dean at age 900 goes right back into the league to work for that crap-ass Atlanta Falcons team.
Yeah,
does that not tell you that Vrabel and that Dean didn't want to work for Vrabel anymore?
Well,
or that Vrabel didn't want to have Dean back?
I think since Mike Vrabel is such an alpha guy and a defensive guy, I would think that it has got to be incredibly difficult to be under him.
Remember what the rule is, though, what Vrabel always says. Why do they make every decision? It's in the best interest of the team. So you can't say everything we do here is in the best interest of the team, and then when it comes to making a change at defensive coordinator, you say, well,
But what if he thinks that is in the best interest of the team?
Agree.
Because his ego can come into play and cloud his judgment.
I don't think there is any doubt in any of our minds that Mike Vrabel doesn't think that Mike Vrabel can fix everything.
Correct.
But somebody's got to be the one. Vrabel doesn't own the team. Somebody's got to tell Vrabel. Call it coaching the coach. Sometimes I wish Floyd had done that a little bit more when he was GM. Go to Jeff Fisher and say, no, we ain't doing that. Mm-hmm. Because the GM, his livelihood is at stake just like a coach. His viewpoint might be 5 years instead of 1 year, but he still is. It's not like an athletic director at college where it's like, well, the football team's bad, but hey, basketball and soccer and all these other sports.
They're a direct reflection of one another.
They got one sport. They got one team. This is your team. So if you're John Robinson and you don't think Shane Bowen's any good, and from the John Robinson press conference in January or whenever it was, where he was asked what he thought about Shane Bowen and just talked about, continuity, like where he gave a completely half-hearted endorsement of Shane Bowen, told me that I don't think that he thinks much of Shane Bowen. When that all goes down, I'm like, okay, Robinson's probably not totally on board with Bowen. Then they bring in Schwartz. And you had to believe that Vrabel wasn't on board with bringing in Schwartz.
Oh, because that's just one more defensive cook in Vrabel's kitchen.
Right. So I think here's your situation. If Russell tears you up, I'm making the change. If you don't play well, but Russell doesn't tear you up and you can salvage, you can make an argument like I feel like I made, for Bowen or for the defense last week, then maybe he gets another week. But I think he needs to be on the clock. I've decided, especially after Marcus Spears laid it out, and I'm not a football guy, and I'm not going to question what Marcus Spears said there. After he laid it out like that, I think Shane Bowen should be on the clock. And because Jim Schwartz is sitting right there. 615-737-1025. I see your calls and texts. We'll get to your response next. And that is, do you think Titans need to make some kind of focus, some kind of something or another? Stillman and Company, it's ESPN 1025 The Game. Fireball Hot Take Friday. You all know that I love Fireball Cinnamon Whiskey. That's right. There's no better way to enjoy your weekend and to ignite the night than to do it with Fireball Cinnamon Whiskey, the original cinnamon whiskey that all these other brands have tried to copy and imitate, but simply can't get as well as Fireball. Fireball has become a choice of drink for Nashvillians, especially out on tourist areas like Broadway and other places throughout the entire city, state, and country. That's Fireball Cinnamon Whiskey. Ignite the night. Please be 21 years or older to enjoy Fireball Cinnamon Whiskey.
Derrick Henry, stiff arm, touchdown Titans. Can Derrick Henry and the Titans get into the win column?
Wilson fires downfield, lock it. He
He's got it! Touchdown!
Or will the defense continue to get exposed when they face Russell Wilson? Tune in all day Monday for full reaction to Titans Seahawks. Talking Titans? We are Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Staples is evolving to Staples Connect, a new world of possible with innovative tools for small business and remote workers and learners. Explore what's new at your local Staples store or staplesconnect.com.
Hey Nashville, it's Jared, and there's a new go-to for home furnishing.
The summer clearance sale at Social Furniture, where all furniture is reduced in every department. Designer sofas from $5.99 and leather sofas from $7.99. Queen bedroom sets with queen bed, dresser, and mirror from $11.99. They come in solid, cherry, oak, and gray. Casual 5-piece dining room sets starting at $3.99, and formal dining sets starting at $5.99. Sealy, Stearns & Foster, Simmons, Serta, and Purple Mattress, all sizes on sale.
Social Furniture on the west side is independently home-owned furniture store in Nashville. Forget the big box stores. Shop local, shop social. They have all the best brand mattresses, sofas, recliners, love seats, sectionals, coffee tables, and more with no waiting. They will deliver it the same day. That's with everything at Social Furniture. Enjoy new furniture now with no waiting. Shop local, shop social. 5412 Charlotte Avenue near White Bridge Road, and tell them Jared Stillman sent you.
Cheers to you, girl. I know you're excited about the new job.
Oh, thanks so much.
Hey, is that my engagement ring you're wearing?
Don't be silly. Oh, wow. They are identical. How did that happen?
Don't tell me. He went to jail.
Yeah, yours too, I guess.
Wow.
Don't make her settle for one of those cookie cutter rings from the big corporate chain jewelry stores. At Genesis Diamonds, you can get her a stunning one-of-a-kind designer ring, one that's as unique as she is. Genesis has over 4,000 handcrafted rings from world-class designers like Tacori, Verragio, Henry Dawsey, and others. These are designers that you'll never see in one of those mega corporate stores, but we have them starting at under $1,000. So ladies, don't settle for the ordinary, for a ring that will be yours and yours alone. Make sure he goes to
Genesis Diamonds.
Continuously voted best jewelry store and best place to buy an engagement ring. Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Bode Nashville is a chic and stylish downtown Nashville hotel, walking distance to some of Music City's most popular spots. Bode Nashville is also home to Sidebar, an in-house cocktail bar, perfect pregame spot on your way to a ball game, a show at Ascend Amphitheater, Broadway, or as a nightcap after exploring the city. Join Jared and Caroline on Monday, September 27th, live at the Bode Nashville for a Titans edition of Stillman & Company from 2 to 6. We hope to see you there. Bode Nashville is located at 401 2nd Avenue South in Sobro. See you on Monday.
What if you could build a 6-figure retirement income in just 5 payments? You heard right. In just 5 payments, set up a 6-figure retirement cash flow for as long as you live. There's a retirement crisis in America because the pension system of old has been raided and destroyed, and Social Security is already running out of money. Most Americans are shocked to find out they need over $2.5 million to have $100,000 in retirement. A new approach is required to solve this crisis. That's why this revolutionary 5-pay retirement program was released, allowing everyday Americans to use bank money to create a retirement cash flow without relying on Social Security or pensions. Even people who are on track have shifted money to this new strategy because it accelerates the amount they'll have at retirement or can allow them to stop working years sooner. So if you're over 50 and want a bigger, better retirement in just 5 payments, call Wealth Education Group now at 800-375-3232 to see if you qualify for this brand new program. Plus, as a free bonus, you'll get the 5-pay retirement guide and video. Call 800-375-3232, 1-800-375-3232, 1-800-375-3232.
If you've missed any of today's show, just search Stillman & Company on Apple, Spotify, or your favorite podcast platform.
Such a focus on third downs throughout training camp, preseason. It still reared its ugly head. What was behind?
Yeah, man. I mean, obviously early in the game, that 3rd and 6 in the red zone, Kyler got out and Hop found his way in the back of the end zone, and they connected. Tough one there. The other ones I can remember, I felt like we challenged for the most part and we're in position. I felt like they made some plays, good throws, good catches. Hopefully we can find ways to make a few more of those plays instead of them, right? I think a couple of those things showed up at times. The 3rd and long scramble, right? He got away. We lost our guy in the back end, didn't stay with our guy on the scramble. He ended up finding him there. So, for the most part, I felt like we were close You know, I felt like we were able to get some pressure, but the scrambles and then them making some good plays on us when I felt like KB was tight, right? KB was tight. I think those things kind of showed up in the stats.
That answer does not give me a lot of confidence from Shane Bowen. I thought we did a pretty good job, except for that one play where Johnson made a great catch. Nothing I can do there. Then that play where, Scotty made a great scramble. Nothing we can do there. That play where we, Shane Bowen's got to be on the clock. I like Shane Bowen fine. I have no problem with Shane Bowen. But, he's got to be on the clock. And here's the thing that gets me about Vrabel. And I promise I'll get to the phones because I promised phones. He does not want to make a change. He's had every opportunity to get rid of Craig Aukerman, special teams coach, won't do it. They haven't been able to make a field goal in 3 years, and he won't make the change. And he won't. They haven't found a kick returner. They haven't found a punt returner. They haven't had a good punt return. They haven't had anything.
Is Aukerman a Vrabel guy?
So Aukerman was on Malarkey's staff.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean...
It was Vrabel's decision to keep him on.
He kept Aukerman, and I believe he kept Arthur Smith.
Okay.
And I just, Vrabel, every coach is going to want total control of their coaching staff. Yes. Every coach. And the more I look into it, the more I'm like, you know what? Jeff Fisher's staff was probably better when it had some of Floyd's dudes on it. Les Steckel, offensive coordinator. Mike Munchak, offensive line coach. It was probably Jim Washburn, defensive line coach. It was probably better when it had those dudes on it. And I look at and I just see Jim Schwartz, and I'm like, you know what? They brought in what's the point of bringing in Schwartz if he's not an option to replace Bowen at some point if Bowen continues to be ineffective? What's the point of bringing Schwartz in?
I see. That's exactly why whenever the Titans decided to bring Jim Schwartz in, I thought that was writing on the wall, because if you believe 110% in your defensive coordinator, what's the point of bringing in someone for support?
Sure.
So that's when I kind of thought, okay, this is writing on the wall that they don't think that Shane Bowen is either A, good enough, and they're bringing in Jim Schwartz just to be a backup, or B, can't do it alone and needs some sort of support, needs some kind of someone whispering in his ear, some kind of mentor. And of course, there's something wrong with a mentor, but it feels a little bit strange to bring in an ex-defensive coordinator to come in and help your new defensive coordinator. It feels weird. So from the beginning, I thought, okay, whoever is making this decision, whoever's decision it was to officially bring in Jim Schwartz, whether that was John Robinson forcing Mike Vrabel a little bit, saying, hey, we need someone else kind of supplemental to Shane Bowen, whether it was Mike Vrabel's idea.
But if it wasn't Vrabel's idea, there's no chance Vrabel's going to move off the coordinator.
And that's what I'm saying is I hear Mike Vrabel when he says, we don't do dumb stuff that hurts the team. We don't do anything that doesn't help this team. I think that he 110% believes that to his core. That's the kind of guy that Mike Vrabel is.
Let's go to your
But
phones.
I think he thinks best. He thinks what he thinks is best.
Oh, sure. He thinks what he thinks is the best interest because I know everything.
Because that's, yes.
And I like Vrabel. But sometimes Vrabel does that a little too much. Let's go to your phones as promised. 615-737-1025. Phone lines driven on this Fireball Hot Take Friday by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Mike is up next on Jim Schwartz. Thank you for calling. Go ahead, Mike.
Hey, Jared. You guys do a great job, man. This is Mike from Philly. I live here in the Nashville area, and I met you a couple years ago at a Pella Windows event. But
right on.
Yeah, pretty good, man. Being an Eagles fan, Schwartz isn't the answer. Brady had almost 10,000 yards in our Super Bowl 52 victory. He doesn't blitz. I don't think he will be the answer for the Titans. So let's give this guy, Bowen, give him a shot. I hear you. You have some good points on him. But overall, Schwartz is not the answer. He doesn't blitz. He's not aggressive. And I think after we won the Super Bowl, the Eagles came to Nashville and played the Titans. And if I remember correctly, I think the Titans were 7 for 9 on third downs that game. I think you guys won in overtime. But you can't get off the field. So I don't know what you guys can do, but I will definitely not select Jim Schwartz.
Thank you for the call, Mike. First of all, the one thing that you got to give credit to Jim Schwartz for was that unlike almost every other team that Tom Brady plays in the Super Bowl, Jim Schwartz's team stopped Brady at the end of the Super Bowl. Think about every Super Bowl Brady's played in, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the end of the first one, the Rams, Brady moves down the field, Vinatieri kicks field goal. Second one, I believe Carolina, Brady moves down the field, kicks field goal, wins the game. Third one, the Eagles, I think that they had that game, I don't think fairly comfortably, but pretty comfortably. I think that game, they won that one. Giants had the ball last. Eli Manning had game-winning drives, and the key was keeping Brady on the bench, not stopping Tom Brady. Although, I guess, in theory, that Giants one, Wes Welker dropped the ball on like the Hail Mary that would have set up a chance for New England to win the game, and Wes Welker dropped it. But ultimately, the Giants had the ball at the end of the game, and that's why Brady didn't have enough time to come back in those two Super Bowls. Seattle, Malcolm Butler made a great play. But again, that was a defensive thing. And Brady led him back in the fourth quarter against Seattle. The next Super Bowl was, the Rams, I think? That game, nobody scored any points, so Jared Goff stunk it up in that game. The Falcons game, that defense didn't stop Tom Brady. No. So the one defensive coordinator that shut down Tom Brady in a Tom Brady game-winning drive in the Super Bowl moment from the greatest player ever was Jim Schwartz's defense when I believe it was Brandon Graham who stripped Tom Brady and the Eagles recovered. So I believe Jim Schwartz, and the other thing I'm just not going to listen to the caller on, is I watched Jim Schwartz be defensive coordinator of the Titans. They blitzed on almost every play. They blitzed all the time. If they had a problem, it was that they were too aggressive when Jim Schwartz was defensive coordinator. I think Schwartz is a great defensive coordinator. Now, when he's got Deron Jenkins at corner, he's not very good. And when he's got Andre Dyson and Samari Rolle, he is pretty good. When he's got Javon Curse and Kevin Carter and Albert Hainsworth and Kyle Van Bosch and Keith Bullock, he's pretty good. And so now that leads you to the question about the players. But as far as Jim Schwartz's coaching, I don't know, and I'm not saying that they do or they don't when I say I don't know. I don't know if they have competent coaching with Shane Bowen as defensive coordinator. I know Jim Schwartz is a competent defensive coordinator in the NFL. And I'm not saying make the move today. I'm just saying if we get to the point to where it's obvious that Bowen can't fix this defense, then it's time to let somebody else try.
That's what I was going to say, was to the caller's point, Jim Schwartz may or may not be the answer. The caller doesn't think so. But if Shane Bowen isn't working out and this Titans defense continues to implode as it did in 2020, then I don't think the Titans have much of a choice. Because even if, let's say, he's not, at least you have to try something different. Because if it's not working, you have to try something else. And if Jim Schwartz is already there, he's on your payroll, and he's just waiting to step in place, that's the easiest fix.
So Zach tweets me and says, the problem is that the Titans wouldn't hire or promote another coach during the season. Vrabel would probably take over, and that's probably worse. At some point, you have to tell Vrabel what to do.
Yeah.
At some point, you have to tell him what to do. He works for you. And at some point, you have to tell him what to do. So I get it, but I do believe Bowen should be on the clock. And there should be some pressure on Shane Bowen. Hey, time to get it right. 615-737-1025. We'll get back to your reaction on this coming up next. Plus, how worried does Russell Wilson make you? Because I've seen the Titans defense for a while. I've seen Russell Wilson. I've seen those two receivers. Oh, boy. FanDuel Sportsbook, my official sportsbook app. Be sure to bet the biggest game on Sunday and let FanDuel make it a little bit more interesting for new users because Chiefs versus Ravens, FanDuel is giving new customers 30-1 odds on either team to win. This means you can end the weekend right by winning $150 on a $5 bet. I would say take the Chiefs. Definitely take the Chiefs. That's my advice as far as this is concerned. FanDuel is sports betting made simple, and they're always hooking you up with great offers. Plus, when you win, you'll get paid in as little as 24 hours. See for yourself why FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. Just sign up with the promo code JGM this Sunday before the Chiefs take on the Ravens, and you could win $150 on a $5 bet. Remember to use the promo code JGM so they know that I sent you exclusively on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. 21 and older and present in Tennessee. New users only. $10 first deposit required. Must wager in a designated offer market. Max bonus $150. Bonus for Tennessee users fulfilled in site credit within 72 hours. Tennessee site credit expires 14 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line 1-800-889-9789.
Titans, Seahawks. The Two-Tone Blues seeks a Week 2 victory in hostile territory. Tune in Sunday at 1 for NFL pregame with Jared Stillman, Chris Sanders, and Mark Howard. Live from Corner Pub in Cool Springs. We are Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
When you purchase a certified pre-owned vehicle from Mercedes-Benz of Music City, you have the power of the star backing your car. To meet certification standards, a car has to be less than 6 years old with less than 75,000 miles. All certified vehicles come with 24/7 personal assistance and an extra 12-month unlimited mileage warranty. Right now, you can get 1.99% financing for 36 months on select 2017 to 2019 certified models at Mercedes-Benz of Music City. See more at mbofmc.com.
Whether you're driving for distance, pitching for precision, or putting to win it all, come to Edwin Watts Golf Shop to get custom fit for all your clubs throughout your bag. Hit a few balls and let our team show you the latest swing technology and data that will help optimize your game. Having each club tailored to become your gamers will help you start shooting lower scores. Let Edwin Watts Golf Shops help you make every shot the perfect one. Come in and get custom fit today. Edwin Watts Golf Shops, home of the 90-day satisfaction guarantee.
Ever heard of a cold-like virus called RSV? RSV can cause complications in older adults, including pneumonia. The Evergreen study is assessing if an investigational study vaccine can prevent RSV disease caused by a respiratory syncytial virus in older adults. If you're 60 years of age or older, you may be able to join the Evergreen study. Visit clinicalresearchassociates.com/RSV to learn more. That's clinicalresearchassociates.com/RSV.
More machines, more savings, and more muscle. Only with John Deere construction equipment from Meade Tractor. Hit the heavy jobs harder with our Own It offer and get special financing on select models. New, used, or rent, we have the right equipment and technology solution for you with the affordable financing you need. Contact us today at our Nashville location or go online at meadtractor.com.
Offer valid on qualified purchases and new equipment between now through October 31st, 2021. Subject to approved installment credit with John Deere Financial for commercial use only. Down payment may be required. Some restrictions apply. See store for details.
Saturday night.
CJ Sapong! He is a phenomenon!
CJ Sapong and the boys in gold continue their road trip when Nashville SC visits Toronto FC. Coverage begins at 6:15
on ESPN
94.9 and the Game Nashville app.
Hey Nashville, this is Eli Gold, voice of the Alabama Crimson Tide, and you're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 1025 The Game.
Is there any benefit, Kyler Murray or Russell Wilson, prepared for one and 98, or is there enough difference between those two that it's really not the same thing?
I mean, every week's different. I mean, I think, Kyler obviously is, is faster than Russell. I mean, Russell, does a great job of avoiding the rush and sliding 3rd and 9. Indy was coming home with pressure, and there was a crease there in the B gap the other day, and he took it. He's an excellent feel for being able to pump fake and get guys off their feet, but still keep his eyes downfield. He's excellent on the boot game. They ran a number of those that were successful last week as well.
There you go. That was Mike Vrabel. And no, I don't think preparing for Kyler Murray when he slices you up helps you prepare for Russell Wilson. Because Russell Wilson is better than Kyler Murray.
Yes.
Much better than Kyler Murray.
Yes.
And I hate to break it to everybody, but he's much better, and their receivers as a whole, much better.
And Vrabel says, Kyler Murray's much quicker than Russell Wilson. Yes, but Russell Wilson is also still very quick and also has a much better arm than Kyler Murray.
So how worried are we about the defense with Metcalf and with Lockett and Carson and Russell? How worried are we of Seattle's offense? Because I'm scared.
Incredibly.
I'm scared.
Incredibly worried. Because, coming into this season, I think we both put the Seattle game as either a should lose or will lose.
Probably.
For that exact reason
Sure.
that they have DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, Russell Wilson, and Chris Carson. And that was thinking that this Titans team would start with a win against Arizona, a convincing win. So now I'm even more worried about this Seattle Seahawks offense. So, I mean, I don't know what to say other than incredibly worried.
You know what's going to have to happen? Bud Dupree, Jeffrey Simmons, Harold Landry, Danico Autry are going to have to get to the quarterback.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that's those guys, they're going to have to get to the quarterback.
Are you worried at all about Bud Dupree's health?
Yes. But when you just said, are you worried? I was going to say yes before you said anything after
So you're worried about pretty much everything?
Well, I mean, pick a random player on the defense. Like, I'm worried Rashaan Evans can't run with anybody right now.
Yeah.
I mean, like, Rashaan Evans, a total waste of a first-round pick. I mean, he's just not good enough. You can go get that in the 5th round, which what Rashaan Evans gives you right now. Jayon
Are you worried
Brown,
about not having a money hooker? Yeah.
I am worried about that. I mean, I guess they're going to put Bradley McDougald out there, and he used to play in Seattle.
But how much of a difference does that really make?
Well, he's a practice squad player.
So, yeah. So
it makes a bad difference.
He used to play for Seattle, yes, but I don't really know if that makes such an overwhelming advantage for the Titans.
No. Oh, I don't think it matters.
Okay, I thought that's what you were implying here.
No, but that's the one thing that people can talk themselves into. Join 1025 The Game this Monday at Jonathan's Grill in Mount Juliet, 613 South Mount Juliet Road for Monday Night Football. Grab some 1025 The Game swag, and we'll have your chance to win tickets to an upcoming Vanderbilt football game. Let's go to your phones as promised, 615-737-1025. Phone line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com.
One texter texts in and says Jim Schwartz will be the defensive coordinator when both Vrabel and John Robinson are mad and tired and the heat is burning on their seat. But that's only if Todd Downing has the offense scoring close to 30 points a game and the defense is the reason, like last year.
Okay, do we think that if Vrabel felt heat, he would make a move at coordinator? Or do you think he would be? Do you think he'd be the kind of guy that stands up and says, "If you want to make a move on my staff, you got to fire me"?
See, you know Mike Vrabel better than I do, and I would say that logic would say if my seat's getting hot, I make whatever change I need to make sure that my team is winning. But I think that Vrabel is the kind of guy who may be a little bit hard-headed and say, nope, this is my team, this is my staff, this is my guy that I chose for defensive coordinator. So if I go, if he goes, I go with him.
Ian, what do you think? You think Vrabel, if they came to Vrabel and gave him the same ultimatum they gave Terry Robisky, change or malarkey with Robisky, do you think Vrabel would do it?
I lean no.
I think he might.
It feels like the logical thing, and that may sound disloyal, but it's just logical. You have to take care of yourself as well.
Well, when you talk about being disloyal, this is one thing that stood out to me that really bothered me, and I really like Mike Mularkey a lot. I have a lot of respect for Mike Mularkey. But because Mike had a bad experience with his coaching staff in Buffalo, he basically demanded that you can pick anything else you want, but I pick the coaching staff. And the Titans agreed to it. Mm-hmm. And Mularkey earned a third year. Mularkey was a good coach here. I mean, you can say whatever you want. The guy took over the worst team in the NFL. It was 9-7 2 years in a row. Won a playoff game at Arrowhead Stadium against the Chiefs. Mularkey was a good coach here. Nobody wants to ever admit that. And revisionist history will tell you that Vrabel came in and saved the day. But Mike Mularkey, in my opinion, was a good coach. But when you talk about being disloyal, you might be disloyal to Shane Bowen to give in and firing him or demoting him in order to make your team better. But what about all the other coaches? Because
it's their jobs too.
If Vrabel gets fired because he won't change the coordinator, like Mike Mularkey got fired because Mike was not going to be told what to do with his coaching staff and was not going to be told what to do with Terry Robisky, you just cost 30 people their jobs for Terry Robisky.
And it's also being disloyal to this word that you've given your players, your coaching staff, that you do what's in best interest for the team. So if you don't do what is in best interest for the team, what all of your advisors and your bosses are telling you to do, then what's the point of you kind of pushing that philosophy?
I can't tell you how badly I want to not have this conversation on Monday, but I'm worried we might. Bob is up next on Russell Wilson. Thank you for calling the show. Go ahead, Bob.
Jared, I really fear that the first contact the Titan defense will have with Russell Wilson will be the post-game handshake.
I share a similar fear.
I think we're headed for a long day. I told everybody we needed to win the Arizona game because we're not going to win at Seattle. And Seattle, I think they this may be the best team they've had since the Super Bowl run. I think that Pete Carroll's a great coach, and they've been up and down, but I think they may be back, and I think they're considerably better than us, and Russell Wilson is the key to that. He is what we don't want to see in a quarterback. Thanks,
No,
Gary.
I'm with Bob. I think I'm with you. To me, what scares me double here, there's three things that scare me really. One is Russell's a bad boy. Two, Russell scrambles to make plays. So even if you do get there into the backfield like Kyler did last week, Russell can scramble around and make a play. And three, those receivers are so good.
Yeah.
Like that, and your corners are so bad. And your defense is so bad. I mean, that's what truly bothers me. Carolines, let's pick some college games. We'll do that coming up next. Carolines coming up here. There is a big college weekend, so we'll get to that coming up next. FanDuel Sportsbook, my official sportsbook app. Who is betting Chiefs and Ravens this weekend? Well, if you use another app, and I hope you don't because FanDuel is my official sportsbook app and America's #1 sportsbook app, maybe you should switch over to the FanDuel Sportsbook this week because FanDuel is giving new customers 30-1 odds on either the Chiefs or the Ravens to win. That means you can end the weekend right by winning $150 on a $5 bet. And since the Ravens have literally everybody on their team hurt except for Lamar, I would pick the Chiefs. And I would feel very confident about winning $150 on that $5 bet. See for yourself why FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook app. Just sign up with the promo code JGM this Sunday before the Chiefs take on the Ravens, and you could win $150 on that $5 bet. Remember to use promo code JGM so they know that we sent you. Exclusively on my official sportsbook app, the FanDuel Sportsbook app. Must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee. New users only. $10 first deposit required. Must wager in designated offer market. Max bonus $150. Bonus for Tennessee users fulfilled in-site credit within 72 hours. Tennessee site credit expires 14 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line 1-800-889-9789.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
Our soggy pattern continues right into the weekend with temperatures in the low 80s both Saturday and Sunday. Look for scattered showers and thunderstorms, some to produce heavy pockets of rain. For Fox 17, I'm Chief Meteorologist Katie Morgan.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
Liberty Mutual customizes your car and home insurance so you only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Stay Golden Restaurant and Cafe has you covered every day of the week with breakfast and lunch served daily. Brunch served every Saturday and Sunday. And now, this month, Stay Golden is launching an all-you-can-drink coffee subscription that comes with bottomless filter coffee every time you walk in the doors. If you join today, you get 2 weeks free. Go to stay-golden.com and use code GAME at checkout for half off your first month's subscription. That's GAME at checkout at stay-golden.com. Stay Golden, Nashville.
Hey, Darren McFarland here, and let me tell you about my friends at Curation CBD. If you're like me and have aches and pains all over your body and you've been searching for a solution, well, I've got it. It's Curation CBD. Curation means healing, and that right there says it all. Curation is locally and organically sourced CBD products right here from Middle Tennessee. From seed to final sell, Curation is passionate about providing quality products for everyday use for athletes and for pets, too. Order yours now at CurationCompany.com. Curation CBD, curated for life.
Robbie Stanley.
That size and that speed just doesn't grow on trees. That can be something that you can really turn into.
Joe Rexrode.
Just hold out and somebody will call in the bad signal.
Get your morning started with Robbie and Rexrode every weekday from 6 to 10. Presented by Volunteer State Bank on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
You're listening to Stillman and Company, delivered by TriStar Moving.
Stillman and Company. Caroline, though, has got to tell you about how much she's excited to talk college football with you at 10 a.m.
Absolutely, I am. So every Saturday at 10 a.m. during the football season, I have Southeastern Caroline. So you can hang out with me on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube. I'll preview the SEC football slate of the day. I'll give you my picks of the day, get you set before the kickoff at 11. Anything that you need to know for the games, any betting advice, my locks of the day, kind of my spicier picks of the day, things that may not be super popular, but things that I feel confident about. I'll have that all morning for you from 10 to 10:30, presented by 312 Pizza Company. So this weekend, I'm looking at Alabama, Florida, probably the biggest SEC matchup that we've had so far this season, and also Memphis, Mississippi State, because I'm feeling like there's going to be a Memphis upset.
Oh, how about that? Memphis needs it because they suck so bad.
Well, so does Mississippi State.
You know how I feel. You know how I feel about Memphis.
I know how you feel about everything that has ever happened in the city of Memphis and everything that they represent. Yes.
It's just not good enough. By the way, tune into Sounds Baseball as the Sounds take on Gwinnett tonight. Pregame at 5:50. First pitch 6:05 on ESPN 94.9. Sounds Baseball presented by 312 Pizza Company and Farm Bureau Health Plans. It's time now for Caroline's.
Get in on the action. Put the money on the mahogany. What's on tap on the sports books? It's time to break it all down with Caroline's. Here on Stillman and Company.
On ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hit me with it.
Caroline's is brought to you by BetUS. It's my favorite sports book, and it has been America's favorite sports book for over 25 years. You can sign up at BetUS.com, mention GAME, and get a sign-up bonus on your first deposit.
By the way, can I just ask a question?
You may.
And I know you're a huge BetUS fan, and you know whatever you want to do, I'm all for.
Love BetUS.
How can they be America's favorite sports book for over 20 years? Sports gambling has been legal for 3 years across the country, and apps haven't been around that long.
That's just how great they are.
Okay.
They have stood the test of time, and they have stood the test of legality.
Okay.
Yeah, and I appreciate that.
I mean, that's like when they make weed legal, and it's going to be like, this strain of weed has been America's favorite weed since Woodstock. Smoke up today.
Well, just because it's not legal doesn't mean it hasn't been used.
Bobby's Weed, the best weed in Nashville.
Bobby does love weed.
Bobby does.
That weed guy. Anyways.
You know exactly what I'm thinking. Please, lead us off, Caroline's. Go for it.
So, your team plays tonight.
Yes, we do.
UCF Louisville. So, Louisville's the underdog in this game.
As we should be.
But I'm going to take Louisville to win outright. I think that what Louisville did against Ole Miss, I think Ole Miss is absolutely a better team than Louisville, but Louisville kind of held their own. UCF is a team that strikes quick, strikes fast, and is a very, very high-powered offense, but that team plays no defense. So I think that Louisville is going to get it done on defense, and also having such a veteran quarterback for Louisville gives them the advantage there.
Jared Garantano was at one point considered to be a veteran quarterback.
Yes, but are you going to...
Would you bet on Jared Garantano?
No.
Why?
Because he's terrible.
Okay. So is our quarterback.
I don't think he's terrible.
Did you watch the Monday game against Ole Miss?
Yeah, and Ole Miss is a way better team than UCF.
Yeah, but Ole Miss's defense, I mean, this guy couldn't hit water if he fell out of a boat.
Did you watch that game? Ole Miss's defense was fantastic.
Because they played us.
Okay, but UCF doesn't have a defense.
Give me UCF. And if UCF doesn't win this game, then I think that we should all be worried about the University of Tennessee volunteer football program.
What does that have anything to do with this?
Because these are Josh Heupel's players. And if Josh Heupel can't beat Louisville, I mean, there were people, obviously there are people that were upset with how Louisville played Saturday against Eastern Kentucky. People were upset with it. That's how bad it was. It's bad. I mean, it's bad. They want to fire the coach. Like, if it was a binary choice for all the fans in Louisville right now, and Satterfield had a great first year, but if they had a choice, they'd fire the coach. And it's a mess, and the quarterback's no good, and the backup quarterbacks aren't good enough to play. To me, this is a no-brainer. UCF, and if not, Heupel could not recruit Jack. And if Heupel couldn't recruit Jack at UCF, that's not going to say much about what he can do at UT.
Oklahoma, Nebraska. This is the first time that they are playing each other in over a decade. Kind of like a storied rivalry, so it's going to be a very fun game to watch. That's the big noon kickoff tomorrow. This is a very tough line because
Oklahoma by 40.5?
Well, I didn't necessarily want to touch it, but I thought, no, I'm doing it. I'm going to take Oklahoma minus 22.
22.
So 22. It's a tough number because it's that kind of that number where it's like, all right, we're up by 22. We can afford to put our backups in.
Yeah, you put your finger up your rear end, and all of a sudden it's
and we're like, okay, you guys ready to go get drinks after this kind of mood in the third quarter?
Right, because the difference between 31 and 21 is really nothing to a coach.
You won. Like, you won very much so. Yes. So if you go up by 25, you throw your backup quarterback in, let him get a few reps. So whenever the line is kind of this widespread between two teams that are, supposed to be good. I know Nebraska isn't very good. Talking about Jarrett Guarantano, that's who they've got a quarterback at Nebraska. Jarrett Guarantano 2.0. But I am going to take Oklahoma minus 22 because I do think that Oklahoma feels like they need to have more of a statement win after having such a close win with such a close game with Tulane week 1. So I think if they have the opportunity to blow out Nebraska, they're going to take it. Plus, Nebraska is just terrible. Adrian Martinez is just painful to watch. So give me Oklahoma minus 22.
I'll take the 22 points.
I'll
take Nebraska on the 22 because I feel in my heart like Oklahoma's going to win.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Lincoln Riley, can he recruit a defense? I don't know.
But do they need to play defense? They will when they get to the SEC. But
yeah,
the Big 12 right now,
because they're not going to win a game. They're not going to win by 40 points. And to your point, once the game gets out of reach, then Nebraska's going to try to make the score look a little bit better, and Oklahoma's not going to do anything to try to keep them from making the score look better.
Right.
So I feel pretty comfortable with that.
Yeah, I think 22 is comfortable there. Nebraska's just, awful. We also had a little Southeastern Carolines preview. It'll be live tomorrow at 10 a.m., presented by 312 Pizza Company on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube. Alabama, Florida. Now, I think that this is pretty easy money. Alabama minus 14.5.
Yeah.
Florida fans are so high on their quarterback, but if Alabama has shown them anything, it doesn't matter if it's Florida, if it's Miami, if it's Mercer. It doesn't matter who Alabama is playing. They are going to blow them out of the water, and there is absolutely nothing that Florida is going to be able to show Alabama that they can't answer. And I think that I would take that spread minus 21.
So here's why I'm going to take Alabama, and I'm with you.
Mm-hmm. And I don't think the money line is even worth your money. It's like minus
when Saban gets on his rants about just his team wins against a bum team, and he goes off on the team, you're going to get a pretty good effort out of Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
And Saban has been going off since the final gun sounded on that game. What was it, Mercer last week?
Yeah.
The final gun on that game. Saban's on the field. The players are shaking hands. And Saban's already complaining to Cole Kubelik about his team. And I was like, okay, here we go. That is a Saban specialty. And Saban loves doing that.
Oh, yeah.
And so I feel like, okay, Saban has just ridden their butts all weekend. Or all week, honestly. Every day out there about, you guys, I don't know what you're doing. You guys think you guys go out there against Florida. You watch. You saw what they did to us in Atlanta last year.
Maybe a few D's blank
jokes
thrown in there.
I'm surprised that people are just now. This is not a new story.
Well, I never heard of it.
I want to say last year.
I know that your bestie pops was Saban, but I never heard of it.
I want to say that last year around the draft, during the COVID stuff, one of these players that was coming out, maybe it was Ashawn Robinson of the Lions, or it was somebody said oh yeah, Coach Saban loves D's nuts jokes. And I was like, okay, that's.
It's like the oatmeal cream pie story that comes up every single year. We get it.
Yeah.
Saban eats oatmeal cream pies. They're delicious.
The amount of people that don't know that, when it happens, are like,
I didn't know that. Oh, I didn't know the D's nuts joke, but I did know the oatmeal cream pies.
Oh yeah, no, that's been a couple of years. That's not. So now everybody's like, can you believe? I'm like, dude, everybody. I thought everybody.
Did you crack a D's nuts joke to Saban?
I hate D's nuts jokes.
What is your beef with these nuts jokes?
I just think they're stupid.
Yeah, they are stupid. They are stupid.
I just don't think it's very funny.
That's the point.
I think some people think that's funny. They're like, ah, ha, ha, ha. And for me,
it's
I'm like,
that's
oh,
what she said jokes. It's like they're not funny, but they're
funny.
All
right.
Okay, good one.
Got it the first time.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. Those are Carolines. Chad Withrow, Outkick 360, will join us next. What does he think of the Titans? And we'll get his college football thoughts as well.
And also, Carolines is brought to you by BetUS.
Thank you.
America's favorite sports book for over 25 years. Sign up at BetUS.com. Mention GAME and get a sign-up bonus on your first deposit.
Well, just when we started the segment, it was 20 years.
No, 25.
Well, now it's 25, which is
It's been 25. Where have you been? It's been 25.
You said earlier today 20.
Well, I didn't mean it because I meant 25. I'm not going to cheat them on those 5 years.
You're not going to be like Joe Rexroad, lie about what you said.
Well, I would do it 100 times again.
With the tape right there. And again, I don't even know what Joe said today. Apparently, Joe is claiming that he didn't say what we played tape of him saying.
It was doctored.
And you know what kills me about Joe? And this is what we were talking about before we came on the air just laughing. This is what kills me about Joe. Is I think it's because Joe's a nice guy. everybody thinks Joe is like some expert sports guy. Like, it's like, oh, well, did you know Joe Rexroad said? I'm like, I don't give a crap what Joe Rexroad said. Joe's wrong 90% of that. What are you talking about? And people are like, oh, well, Joe said, and Joe wrote, and Joe. And I'm like, dude, like, no. Joe
Let
wrote
Joe
off,
have his clout.
Joe wrote off the 2019 Titans after the Carolina game.
Okay, do not cold take Joe Rexroad because you have plenty of cold takes yourself.
There's some analytic guy who texts into the text line that says that there's like
Joe
a
and Jared, and they're tallying
It's
up
like
of the
they're
hot
keeping
takes.
it up or
Because if
whatever.
you want to bring up Joe's 2019 Titans takes, then I will direct your eyes to the 2017 Preds takes.
I only had one wrong take there. I think it'd be by Chicago.
And Joe didn't think that it was writing off the 2019 Titans.
No, Joe picked against the 2017.
I'm going to have to ask our friend Ben for the scoreboard there.
Joe did. Chad Withrow will join us next. Fireball Cinema Whiskey goes down so smooth and it tastes so great. There is no better way to ignite the night than to do it with ice-cold Fireball Cinema Whiskey. So be sure to ignite this weekend. That's right. It's a big weekend. We've got great college football we just talked about. Great NFL football this weekend. Later game on Sunday. Get the tailgate going with ice-cold Fireball Cinema Whiskey. Be sure to ignite the night, and please do it responsibly. That's Fireball Cinnamon Whiskey.
Take us wherever you may go.
There are two guys on my untouchable list.
Tune us in anywhere, anytime.
Every team's got those. That's my point.
Just search The Game Nashville in your app store and download today. And keep it locked on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Now's the time to get a great deal on select Kubota compact tractors. Rated #1 for reliability in the under 100 horsepower category, they're designed for easy operation and feature performance-matched attachments. Right now, put 0 down and get 0% APR for 84 months, plus save up to $1,400. Now through December 31st. See us or go to KubotaUSA.com for full disclaimer.
It's back. The world's biggest spa sale at Family Leisure.
How do you know it's the world's biggest spa sale?
Well, it has to be. It is sponsored by Artesian, American Select, and Strong Spas. Those are some of the biggest brands, and it's at 12 Family Leisure locations across the country.
That is pretty big, but
there's more than 700 spas in stock and incoming at the Family Leisure stores, and many more display model spas at liquidation prices. Spa prices start as low as $39.99.
That's more than 1,000 spas on sale.
Thanks to Artesian, Family Leisure has a $10,000 spa for only $69.99, and Strong has a $6,000 spa for only $39.99.
What about those new swim spas?
Family Leisure has a huge 12-foot swim spa for only $17,999.
And that's a ridiculously low price.
Family Leisure always guarantees the lowest price, but during the world's biggest spa sale, they are blowing everyone away.
I sure have wanted a spa for a long time.
Now's the time. It's the world's biggest spa sale at Family Leisure. Both locations, Franklin and Antioch.
Where family and fun come together.
Brian Porth back again to tell you about Dr. Kelly Rice, Family Cosmetic and Dental Sleep Medicine. Dr. Rice, I know we've been talking a lot about sleep apnea devices for people who hate their CPAP machines, but I heard recently that some children suffer from the same sleep apnea. Can that happen?
Yes, it can, Ryan. 80% of our population suffer from symptoms related to breathing problems while sleeping, and that includes kids. Plus, a child's health is even more at risk because if they don't get proper oxygen while sleeping, it affects their growth and brain development. And we now know that problems with sleep breathing can be linked to behavior issues, lack of focus, bad grades, and even bedwetting.
Oh, I had no idea.
Well, you are not alone. So, if you know someone who is wondering about why their 6-year-old is still wetting the bed or has other behaviors that disrupt the family, call me for a private doctor screening, and I will help you find the right answers for you and your family.
Dr. Kelly Rice, Family Cosmetic and Dental Sleep Medicine, 615-373-4488 for a private screening for you and your child. You'll be glad you did.
Signs First is the official sign company for 102.5 The Game. Go to sfnash.com.
Want to look like $1 million but only spend a handful of bucks? Upgrade to Dollar Shave Club with the Ultimate Shave Starter Set for only $5. Get a 6-blade razor, prep scrub, shave butter, and post-shave dew for a noticeably smooth shave. Plus free shipping. Razors can be expensive, so don't spend all that money for a mediocre shave. Dollar Shave Club. It's what dreams are shaved of. After the starter set, razors ship at a regular price. Go to dollarshaveclub.com/gojo. That's dollarshaveclub.com/gojo. Welcome to the club.
Nashville's best sports talk, locally owned, home of our Nashville Predators. WPRT-FM Pegram, 97.5 Murfreesboro, WBUZ HD2 Laverne, online at thegamenashville.com. We are
ESPN
102.5 The Game. Live from the Game Nashville studios, it's Stillman and Company. Delivered by TriStar Moving. TriStar Movers with 5-star service. With Jared Stillman on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company is delivered by TriStar Moving. Fireball Hot Take Friday. We got a lot to get to. Big college football this weekend at Florida and Alabama, plus, of course, the Titans and the Seahawks. And Chad Withrow joins us, Outkick 360. He will be in Gainesville this weekend at the Swamp. By the way, I was stunned, Chad, when I heard this. This is your first trip ever to the Swamp?
Yeah, it's I've been to, I think, 10 of the SEC locales so far. So this year I'm looking forward to knocking off Florida. I know College Station's another one I've not visited. I'll be there. Much to Caroline's dismay, I've never been to Baton Rouge. So I'm looking forward to hopefully knocking that off the list this year as well. And it's funny because everyone's like, oh, this is the first time in the Swamp. And I'm thinking, this is the last place in the SEC I want to go to. I just have no great feelings about Gainesville, Florida. Maybe they'll prove me wrong, and it's the greatest college town ever. But if I'm going to the state of Florida, I'm going to the beach. So I'm not interested in landlocked Florida cities. So I really have no interest in Gainesville. But who knows? Maybe they'll change my mind.
Kind of sounds like a challenge. I want to get to the weekend of college football in a bit, but you were the one that came on last week, Chad, and you basically said you expected the Titans to get upset on Sunday by Arizona. You were probably one of the only people I know that kind of called it that way. Now, I'm not sure even you expected what happened on Sunday, but so how worried are you about the Titans, one? And two, how worried are you about the Titans going to Seattle, number two?
Well, I thought the Titans would lose to Arizona. I didn't think that they would completely no-show and really have nothing good to show for their performance against Arizona. I mean, I'm very worried. I mean, I think it's very likely they're going to be 0-2 after this weekend. I think it's important. This is one of those games that there are no moral victories in the NFL, but the Titans need to show something. Even if they go to Seattle and lose, which I fully expect them to do, they're going to need to show a lot more than they showed against Arizona, or this is a thing that could crater quickly. Because, guys, they have no offensive line right now. I mean, Taylor Lewan has to be Taylor Lewan for them to function at any level. And if he's just not completely mentally back from that knee injury and he's not secure in what he's doing, the Titans aren't going to be any good. They're not going to be good on offense. I mean, you can't play without a tackle. Right now they have no right tackle, and they have a left tackle, their franchise left tackle, that clearly is not right through one game. So, look, if they go out to Seattle, Taylor Lewan looks good. We're not talking about Taylor Lewan, let's say, coming back after this game, and they start doing some things on offense and they lose by a late field goal or something like that, then I think they're going to be completely fine, and they're going to go on and win the division with ease, and they're going to be a playoff team. If they go out to Seattle and they get housed, well, you better circle that Indy game the next week as a do-or-die time for the Titans. And I don't want to be the person that gives up on a season after 2 or 3 games, but I think the writing's on the wall at that point that game at home against Indy, if they go and get destroyed by Seattle the way they did against Arizona, is going to be for everything.
So when Dean Pease came out of retirement, you guys were kind of on that hiatus between your old radio job and your current job with Outkick, and yet I know that you, like me, were kind of critical of Mike Vrabel from the standpoint of, wait a minute, Dean Pease retired, and then as soon as a job comes open, Dean Pease jumps to go be defensive coordinator there. He promotes another coordinator within for offensive coordinator in Todd Downing. How much pressure do you think is on the coaches and the coordinators right now as far as Vrabel's concerned? And how much of it, what you saw Sunday, was about the players and not having good enough players?
Well, let me say this about Titans players, because, we've got A.J. Brown coming at us in our show about something, and you've got Taylor Lewan, who loves the spotlight as an offensive lineman. When most offensive linemen don't love the spotlight, he loves and relishes in it, and he's sending out tweets apologizing for his performance and all of this. This is a group that's going to say things, And they're doing a lot of talking for a team that's 0-1, and look the way they did in week 1. And I think because they talk so much, the first person that's going to get blamed if this offense isn't humming soon is going to be Todd Downing. So I think there's a ton of pressure on Todd Downing, and I don't think he has much time. I don't think he has a month to figure this out because Arthur Smith handed him the keys to the castle. Arthur Smith showed him what they need to do offensively. If he can't figure it out and this offense isn't operating at a high level, he's going to be the easy scapegoat, whether it's completely his fault or not. And I don't think that if it continues this way that it's completely his fault. But he's going to be the easy one to say, okay, you're the new guy. You're not calling plays properly. You don't know how this offense works at its highest level, so you're going to be the guy that's out. I think that's going to be the easy, quick solution for the Titans if things don't improve. I also think that Mike Vrabel is a pretty loyal guy, and he wouldn't want to do anything. But I could see a scenario where that team starts to second-guess a bit the new offensive coordinator if the offense looks anything like it did on Sunday moving forward.
You think Vrabel struggles coaching his own coaches?
I mean, I think that Vrabel is just so, when you have those people, it's like, and I don't want to say Mike Vrabel is Michael Jordan, but Michael Jordan is one of those guys that as an owner is never going to be able to connect with anyone, because how can Michael Jordan, with Michael Jordan's demands on himself and how great he is, try to demand something out of someone else? I think it's more about mentality, right? Sure. Michael Jordan was never going to be a good coach. Michael Jordan was a terrible teammate because he wasn't going to sit there and take the time to explain to you how to compete because he's Michael Jordan. He's an expert at competing. I think Mike Vrabel has got a little bit of that no-nonsense. If you're not doing your job, I'm not going to help you along. I'm not going to give you pointers on how to do your job. So I could see Mike Vrabel as a guy who's just got very little patience for a coach feeling his way out because he demands a lot of himself. And if you're not accountable and you're not ready to go and you don't fully know what you're doing, I don't see Mike Vrabel, taking you aside and pulling you into his office and, hey, when I was starting out as an assistant coach, this is what I would do every day. And this is how I'd get ready for a game. And I'd maybe look at this. I just don't see him being that type of personality. So I don't know, Jared, if it's he struggles with coaching his coaches as much as I just don't know that he has the personality to sit there and hold someone's hand and help them along the way maybe some other kinder, gentler coaches might be able to do.
Do you think, Chad Withrow with us from Outkick, do you think that Julio Jones week 1 and the fact that drops a couple of passes, ball hits him in the hands, gets intercepted, gets the dumb penalty, do you think that that's kind of like a bad omen for what they acquired? We've seen them acquire guys like Clowney before and it hasn't worked out. Or do you think that the Titans were just so bad that it's unfair to judge Julio off of week 1?
I mean, I think it's fair. Look, it's a 1 out of 17. I mean, I think it's fair to judge everyone off your performance from game to game. So I have no problem judging Julio Jones in that first game, and he was bad. He looked slow. He looked out of it. He looked out of sync with the offense, which is understandable for a guy who didn't really practice and didn't play at all in the preseason. So it was, he's 0 for 1, just like the rest of the Titans. So I think it's completely fair to judge his performance. I heard you talking about it this week, Jared, about, do the Titans already regret it in some way bringing in Julio Jones? I don't think that we're there yet with Julio Jones, but we're going to obviously need to see a lot more with him. My biggest fear is that he looked kind of slow in the game. And that's, when you're getting up there a little bit, you've played as many games as him and you've already had injury problems. To me, that's the biggest concern is he completely healthy? Or is this just now the Julio Jones that we're going to see with the Titans? I mean, look, there's a lot of questions. My biggest question with Julio Jones is if this thing gets tough this year and the Titans really struggle in this first month of the season, what's his level of checkout with this team? Because when the Falcons sucked, he checked out pretty quick.
Yes,
he wanted to go to a contender. So if he feels like he's been traded to a team that's not a contender after a month in the season, I don't know how into it he's going to be moving forward.
Chad, one thing that the Titans have done over the last couple of years that I thought, at least I think has been a big deal under Vrabel is when there are games that I feel like they can't win, Like they had a week 2 a couple of years ago against Houston where they had no tackles. Blaine Gabbert was at quarterback, and somehow against the Texans with J.J. Watt and Whitney Merciless, they went and won the game, I think 17-14. Or there was a game against the Patriots where no one expected them to win, and Mariota and Corey Davis went nuts on Stephon Gilmore. And, they just pull it out of their rear ends. This kind of feels like that game. Everything's down, everything's bad, and yet at the same time, I've seen in the NFL, you see a team lose week 1, you're like, oh, they stink, and then they go and they win a game that you think they have no business winning at Seattle on Sunday. To me, is a game the Titans have no business winning, and yet I feel like I've seen it enough in the NFL, and I've seen it from Vrabel's Titans. Do you think that's a Vrabel thing for them to be able to go up there and beat Seattle this weekend?
I think it's kind of an NFL thing. Honestly, I see that across the league, and it's one of the reasons we love the NFL so much. The moment you think, boy, this team is awful, they're about to go on the road and get housed by someone, crazy things happen. And I do think that it happens more often with Vrabel. You're on to something. I'll always remember that Blaine Gabbert game you mentioned against the Texans, where they've got Derrick Henry running Wildcat quarterback half the game, and they won a game that no one expected them to win. And I fully expect the Titans to go to Seattle and play well. I think we're going to see a totally different performance against the Seahawks on Sunday. I still don't think it's going to be enough to win the game, but I do think that the Titans are going to go up there and play well. So it would not surprise me, if we see a complete role reversal where the Titans look like the team we thought they were coming into the season, and they go up there and get a big win, and then we're coming back here next week and talking about how all is right in the world, and the Titans are going to go on and easily win the division. So, yes, I think that is a bit of a Vrabel characteristic. But I think if you look at the trend across the league, you see this happen a lot of times. But I think you're onto something, probably more often than not with Mike Vrabel when we're not expecting much.
Yeah, I think it's crazy. I actually think the Titans are going to win this week. And maybe I'm just a homer. I don't know. But I just think that the NFL in September, crazy things happen. Fan bases get high, and then they get low. And then it's like, wow. And I can't believe the Titans are as bad as they were on Sunday. Chad Withrow with us. If it's as bad this Sunday as it was last Sunday, what is the heat like on the team and on Vrabel going into the Indianapolis game?
I think there's going to be so much heat to spread around that everyone's going to feel like they're on fire. I don't think it's specifically to Vrabel. I think if they play anywhere close to the level they played at against Arizona, everyone is going to feel heat on that team. From the coordinators that we talked earlier about Todd Downing, I think the coordinators could be the first to be blamed for anything that goes wrong, but I think that whole team is going to feel a lot of heat. And going back to what you said about Vrabel, surprising at times, I want to see this team that talked about swagger all offseason actually look like a franchise that belongs and not a franchise that needs to be disrespected or the underdog to be good, right? We see teams every year that come out and they're talked about all offseason, and they come out and they play well, and they're okay with the big dog role. The Titans have just never been that team. They always play better when their backs are against the wall. They always play better when they feel like they're being doubted, even if they're not being doubted. That's always been kind of a frustrating thing with this group especially. And look, I think this group is very good, and they could do some big things this year and in the foreseeable future. But I'd like to see them actually play like a team that's okay with expectations, and they don't constantly have to flip the script and become the underdog to play well. But I am with you, Jared. I do think that they are going to come out and play well this Sunday, but I disagree with you because I don't think it's going to be enough to beat Seattle.
No, I'm with you. The one thing about playing with the expectations that I guess I have a little bit of a hard time with, because the Titans over the last 5 years have had a hard time playing with expectations. Mike Vrabel played on the Patriots. Every week when he was on the Patriots, there were high expectations because everybody looked at them as their Super Bowl. And somehow, some way, they won that game. And then they won the next game. And I think he was part of that team in 2003 that won 14 straight, 18 straight, whatever it was. And I'm looking at him like, how can Vrabel not get this through to these guys? Because he lived it. And that's part of the reason why you hired Mike Vrabel. Vrabel can downplay the Patriot thing all he wants about, I also learned from Urban Meyer and I also learned from Bill Cowher. But dude, you got hired because you played on those Patriot teams. And that just bothers me for some reason.
Well, and, they also with the Patriots, they didn't have to send out tweets about, hey, everybody's trying hard, lay off. They didn't have to battle with local media. They didn't have to they didn't have to say anything. And they didn't have to play this phony disrespect card because no one was disrespecting the Patriots when Mike Vrabel was on the Patriots. It's exactly like you said, Jared. Everyone was looking forward to watching the Patriots every week. Everyone was rooting against the Patriots and whoever they were playing against. And I understand that athletes and coaches create a chip on their shoulder, even if it doesn't exist, and I'm fine with that. But you look at those teams in that franchise, it's a great example of we're okay being the big dog. We're okay going into these games, knowing everyone expects us to win, but rooting for us to lose. I want to see the Titans get there. I don't expect the Titans to win championship after championship the way the Patriots have, but I do expect the Titans to get to a point where they've had enough success where they go into a season, they go into a game as the big favorite, and they play that way. And they don't have to create this false chip on their shoulder about all of this disrespect. And they look a little bit like the Patriots or the Steelers or these teams that go into every single season with expectations. I'd love for the Titans to get there.
Mm-hmm. Chad Withrow with us from Outkick Fireball Hot Take Friday. All right, so let's get to the college side of things. We'll do that coming up next. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Stillman and Company. We are delivered by TriStar Moving. It's ESPN 1025, The Game.
Derrick Henry, stiff arm, touchdown Titans. Can Derrick Henry and the Titans get into the win column?
Wilson fires downfield, lock it, he's got it, touchdown.
Or will the defense continue to get exposed when they face Russell Wilson? Tune in all day Monday for full reaction to Titans Seahawks. Talking Titans, we are Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Edwin Watts Golf Shops, home of the 90-day 100% satisfaction guarantee, serving golfers since 1968.
It's soccer season in Tennessee. You want goals?
He takes it inside, outside, right foot, great finish, what a goal!
You want saves?
Lifted high, into the hands of Joe Willis, he makes the catch.
You want big drama?
Hooked in and headed in, delirium, it's Yonder Cadiz!
Nashville SC are back at home Wednesday, September 29th versus Orlando City SC. The action kicks off at 7:30 p.m. Tickets on sale now at NashvilleSC.com.
How'd you like that?
Are you a father that is passionate about your fundamental constitutional right to parent your own child or children? Has your parenting time or your income been affected by COVID? This is Amanda J. Gentry, and I am a fierce defender of your constitutional rights. The courts in Tennessee are under an obligation to maximize equal parenting time. We do not live in an every other weekend world anymore. At the law offices of Amanda J. Gentry, fathers are extremely important, much like my own father was. Go to AmandaJGentry.com or call or text 615-604-6263. That's AmandaJGentry.com.
Want a world-class designer engagement ring but think you'll pay more for it? Not at Genesis Diamonds.
People ask all the time, am I spending more money just to get the designer name? And I can tell you unequivocally, no.
Genesis Diamonds Vice President Wendy Canavan.
What you're getting is better made jewelry, a better made engagement ring.
So at Genesis, you don't have to make or settle for a knockoff mass-produced ring. You can get a handcrafted masterpiece from designers like Tacori, Verragio, Henry Dossi, Kirk Cara, the names on every woman's wish list.
They're just better made. The people who design these rings are truly artists. They're not some backroom jeweler knocking off a ring.
And don't be fooled by people who say you will overpay.
We have beautiful engagement rings starting at $795, designer made.
Genesis Diamonds. It's easy to find the ring of her dreams without having to compromise.
You don't want people to say, oh, your ring's okay. You want people to say, wow.
Genesis Diamonds, voted best jewelry store and best place to buy an engagement ring year after year. Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Hey, it's Jared for TriStar Moving. If you're looking to move, you need to give my friends at TriStar Moving a call. At TriStar Moving, you'll get 5-star service throughout the entire process. Everything will be taken care of, from covering your floors, banisters, railings, front door thresholds, furniture, TVs, and more. They took great care of my move and made it as stress-free as possible. If you're looking to move, give TriStar Moving a call, 615-640-1219, or visit them at nashvillemoving.org/radio and get 5% off your entire move. TriStar Moving, my official movers.
312 Pizza Company is family owned and operated, bringing you a slice of Chicago to Nashville. 312 Pizza Company specializes in deep dish pizza, thin crust pizza, and all things Chicago style. And always made from scratch using secret family recipes passed down generation to generation. 312 Pizza is open 7 days a week and located in Germantown with dine-in, takeout, and curbside available. Call 615-730-7888 to order 312 Pizza Company, Nashville's authentic Chicago pizzeria.
Interact with Stillman and Company. Call or text the show at 615-737-1025. Driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com.
Welcome back, Stillman and Company, ESPN 1025, The Game, Fireball, Hot Take Friday. Chad Withrow with us from Outkick. So the Outkick bus tour, which I think I found out about this a couple weeks ago. Maybe it's because it was announced a couple of weeks ago. But so as part of the Fox Big Noon Saturday kickoff, they have the Outkick bus tour going to different cities than the Big Noon kickoff. And you guys will be live in Gainesville tomorrow for Alabama and Florida. My big question to you before we get to this bus trip is, as excited as it sounds, or exciting as it sounds for Alabama and Florida, is it a little bit of a letdown? Because I'm kind of expecting Alabama to win by 35 points tomorrow.
I fully expect Alabama to win by at least 3 touchdowns. I think the line is it's down to 14.5 last I checked. But I think that's easy money on Alabama winning big. It is a bit of a letdown that I don't think the game's going to be very good. But this will really get you excited, Jared. The Outkick bus tour next week heads to Nashville for Vanderbilt hosting Georgia. So if you thought that this blowout this week is going to be one, it's definitely going to be one next week in our one stop in Nashville with the Outkick bus tour. But no, I mean, look, our show, Outkick the Tailgate, is going to be around the bus that Clay Travis does his hits on for the Big Noon Kickoff show. And our show is very much a feel of the city. There's going to be some football talk in there, but we're also going to talk about Nick Saban loving D's jokes. We're going to talk about the fans, crazy fans around. We're going to have restaurants bring us food. It's going to be kind of a taste of the town / football show and really get the feel of these SEC cities. So we're looking forward to that. We're going to do some things with a documentary film crew on Friday nights in every city we visit. Nashville next week is going to be pretty cool with some of the stuff we have planned also. So I'm looking forward to that part of it. And I'm going to be completely honest with you, and I don't know if I should share these business secrets with everyone, but I will anyways. I don't think we're staying for many of the games. We fly out. Our show's from 9 to noon Eastern, and all of us hop in a car and go straight to the airport. And I'll be back home watching the second half from Nashville of that game. And I know that Clay's schedule's the same. I don't think he's attending any of the games. So once he's done with the hits, he's getting on a plane and going back. Now, I will say, when we go to places like College Station before, I will be staying for the game. In these places, I've never been in the stadium, that I'm really looking forward to going to the stadium. I'm going to try and stay for some games too. But we're looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm going to guess if Florida was number 3 in the country and Alabama was number 1, you would probably be staying for the game. And there's a couple of thoughts I have on the SEC. Number one is I think Kentucky learned how to throw. And I know that that's not, groundbreaking because A&M, survives an almost disaster at Colorado, and Georgia has already beaten Clemson, and Alabama's clearly the best team in the country. But I don't think the fact that Kentucky learning how to throw is getting enough credit because they have been a decent enough team, especially by Kentucky standards. They have been a decent enough team for the last 5 years. They get to the Citrus Bowl and they win that. They're making bowl games every year. They've got first-round picks in the NFL, and they've done it all without being able to throw. They bring in Will Levis. They learn how to throw. They dominated Missouri last Saturday night. I look at Kentucky, Chad, and I'm like, this team might not be terrible. I think if Tennessee fans were walking in this year thinking, well, we can beat Kentucky, I'm not sure I feel that way. How much value do you put on Kentucky learning how to pass?
I think Kentucky's very good. Will Levis has been really impressive. Their new offensive system has looked great. I thought the Missouri game was a little bit deceiving because I thought Kentucky was really in control of that game, even though the final score was close and the game was close. And it was entertaining. I'm willing to go ahead and admit it as a fan of another school in the SEC East. And I think the rest of the SEC East, outside of Georgia and Florida, should probably feel the same way. Mark Stoops needs to take one of these jobs that come open after this year. I am actively rooting for that to happen because he has built something really good at Kentucky that seems to be pretty sustainable. So that's going to be a problem for the rest of the SEC East. Mark Stoops is the front runner as announcing himself in the Kentucky program as number 3 solidly in the East for the foreseeable future. And that's a problem for Missouri, for Tennessee, for South Carolina. I'm not including Vanderbilt in that mix because they just have to get to respectability first. But for those teams that are going to want to vie for that 3rd spot year in, year out in the SECs behind Georgia and Florida with the occasional chance to contend with those teams for the SEC East or at least to finish 2nd, Mark Stoops is a big problem. So if Penn State comes open and James Franklin takes the USC job, I would be actively rooting for Penn State or anyone else to hire away Mark Stoops at this point because he's built something really good at Kentucky. And that is the biggest compliment I can pay him is that I want him hired away by another program.
Do you think that the SEC is getting 2 teams in this year now that Georgia has beaten Clemson, Ohio State lost this past weekend? A&M, as I said, again, they avoided disaster against Colorado, but that could be a big deal because if A&M only loses 1 game to Alabama or if Ole Miss only loses 1 game to Alabama, they have a legitimate claim to make their way into the playoff. Do you think the SEC right now is probably looking at 2 teams this year?
I think it's going to be tough. And for this reason, you still have Oklahoma out there lurking that should go undefeated. With Oregon's win over Ohio State, I think all that does is it's going to be Ohio State winning out and winning the Big Ten and getting in. Oregon has a great chance at winning out and being the Pac-12 representative. So then you could have, an undefeated or 1-loss Oklahoma team. You got Clemson hanging out there with probably 1 loss. I really think that Oregon beating Ohio State in a weird way actually hurt the SEC's chances of getting 2 teams in. So I'm going to say no. I think the SEC is only going to have their champion in the college football playoff, and it's going to work out where it's going to be some combination of Oregon / Pac-12 representative, an Ohio State team that's going to win out and win the Big Ten, and then Clemson, Oklahoma, a couple of others in the mix there. But I think the SEC only gets 1 in.
I mean, I think that the SEC needs Georgia to win every game except for Alabama in the SEC title game. And then they can have a legitimate claim if they've got 1 loss and you're trying to get Clemson in there. And it's like, well, Georgia already beat Clemson, so that may be their best path to 2 teams.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, that is the path to me because, I think the SEC is very good once again, but Texas A&M's not doing it. I just don't see that with that team. It's Georgia and Alabama. I think it's pretty clear even 2 weeks into the season, those are the 2 teams that have the chance to be the 2 representatives in the playoffs.
How big of a playoff game is number 22 Auburn at Penn State on Saturday? Given a marquee SEC Big Ten matchup, how big would that be, you think, for any playoff considerations?
I don't know about playoff consideration just because I don't think either team is good enough to even have 1 loss the rest of the way on their schedule. I think they're both going to lose multiple games the rest of the way, regardless of who wins this game. I will say this, though, for it. What an opportunity for Brian Harsin. I mean, I was looking at it. I think he's won by a combined, 90 points or something ridiculous, or over 100 points in his first 2 games. Now, granted, it's Akron and Alabama State that he beat. But if he wins those 2 games, then goes up to Happy Valley and starts 3-0 with a primetime national TV win, I mean, that's a pretty good start in year 1, taking over an Auburn team that we know is talented, but there's a reason there's an opening at Auburn also. I mean, I see this as just an enormous opportunity for Brian Harsin. And then, for James Franklin, that win over Wisconsin is just such a James Franklin win because they really had no business winning that game. And he finds a way. He has got the mojo. There is something about that guy and the confidence that he exudes, and it goes throughout his program that they're going to win games like that. So then if they come back home and they beat Auburn, I mean, it's setting up for Penn State, Ohio State later this year to maybe be for all the marbles in that division.
Do you think James Franklin is going to USC?
Yes, I do.
Really?
I think James Franklin would have gone to Tennessee had Tennessee upped the offer and given him some more assurances. I truly believe that. I think James Franklin is a guy is always looking for the next secure spot. And I don't think that his spot is insecure at Penn State or anything like that right now. I don't think he's on any hot seat. But when you're anywhere for a long enough period of time, you're going to have some ups and downs. And I think for that reason, he's someone who would probably like to start new somewhere. So, yes, I think – look, I think that if they offer him the job and it's a huge offer that we would expect, then I think that he would leave Penn State for USC. Just my guess. You know, I haven't asked him that or anything, but that would be my guess that he would leave for USC.
So here's my thing about James Franklin. First of all, I think James Franklin always likes to get his rear end kissed, and nobody gets their butt kissed more than a head coach who's a new head coach. And if you go to USC, you'll get a whole year, 2 years of everybody kissing your ass. I think the second thing is James Franklin can talk himself into living in Los Angeles and how great he thinks that would be. The one thing that I think would hold James Franklin back is how good of a coach does James Franklin think Ryan Day is? Because if he thinks Ryan Day is a good coach at Ohio State and that Penn State will never be able to get over the hump consistently on Ohio State, I think I'd make the move to USC. If I don't think Ryan Day is a good coach, and I have heard some grumblings from coaches in college football that think that Ryan Day may have, been riding on Urban Meyer's coattails a little bit, then I think James Franklin probably stays, because if you win 1 or 2 Big Ten championships, and I think he's already won 1, but if Ohio State drops a little bit, then Penn State has a path to the playoff, and he's already built a good enough team there. So that's kind of how I think James Franklin makes his decision.
See, I don't even think Ryan Day matters in this equation. I think he makes a decision based on this. If you're looking at competitive balance and chance to win a championship, take Ryan Day out of it. How does Ohio State rank against UCLA and Arizona State as a program? If Ryan Day doesn't work out, they're going to go hire Luke Fickell and win a national championship with Luke Fickell. I mean, Ohio State can hire almost anyone and still be a formidable opponent for Penn State. I'd say the same about Michigan. If Jim Harbaugh figures it out this year or whoever they hire next, let's say it's Matt Campbell. Okay, Matt Campbell coaching Michigan is always going to be a problem for Penn State. I think he would look at that USC job as, okay, I can beat UCLA and Chip Kelly every year. I can beat the teams I'm going to compete with in the South, and then you've got a budding powerhouse with Mario Cristobal in Oregon in the North, but I don't have to worry about them until a Pac-12 championship game. I just think the path to getting to a playoff and winning a national title is always going to be easier at USC as opposed to having to play Ohio State and then Michigan every year in the Big Ten, regardless of who's coaching.
Would you factor in a 12-team playoff in that? Because I do think Penn State's easier to get in a 12-team playoff than a Pac-12 school.
Sure. But it's still, you add more teams to the playoffs, it's still going to be easier at places to get to the playoff with 12 or 4 regardless. So I would still say it's easier to get in at USC as opposed to Penn State. But I really think it goes back to 2 things. One that you mentioned, I think James Franklin loves love, and he wants to be loved for as long as possible, and he's going to get a lot more love now at USC as opposed to Penn State where he's been for a while. And I also think that James Franklin is a sales and marketing genius, and I think that's going to play well in Los Angeles. I think he would be more interested in that job and trying to get into the overall landscape of LA as an entertainment entity there at USC more so than a lot of other quote-unquote football guys, football coaches out there. I think James Franklin would relish that opportunity.
Chad Withrow, Outkick 360, joins us every 5 o'clock on a Friday. Chad, appreciate it. Enjoy your trip to Gainesville. Enjoy the Outkick bus tour. We'll be keeping up and looking for the latest there. And good luck on your long trip next week, the Outkick bus tour to Nashville.
Yes, it's going to be a real arduous journey, 3 miles to West End next week. It's going to be very difficult on all of us. Guys, I really appreciate it. Always fun hopping on with you.
All right, Chad's got to catch a flight. We're at it. We'll got a lot coming up. Titans and Seahawks, 615-737-1025. Stillman and Company. We're delivered by TriStar Moving. Fireball Hot Take Friday. It's ESPN 1025 The Game.
Titans, Seahawks. The Two-Tone Blues seeks a Week 2 victory in hostile territory. Tune in Sunday at 1 for NFL pregame with Jared Stillman, Chris Sanders, and Mark Howard. Live from Corner Pub in Cool Springs. We are Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Bob's Steak and Chop House is a renowned award-winning steakhouse in major cities across the U.S. Nashville is lucky to have a location here in downtown at the Omni Nashville Hotel. Fine dining is brought to a new level at Bob's with awards like the Wine Spectator Award 4 years in a row, TripAdvisor Certificate of Excellence 5 years in a row, and Open Tables Diner's Choice Award 6 years in a row. Fine dining at its best. Bob's Steak and Chop House, open Wednesday through Saturday, 5 to 10 p.m. in the Omni Nashville Hotel. Complimentary valet parking is always available.
It's that time of year again, and all eyes are now turning to football as teams are back on the gridiron. BetOnline.net is your #1 spot for all the pro and college football odds and news this season. Get all the updated info on players, teams, and odds to help you with your new football contests, leagues, and new survivor pools. BetOnline.net is the fastest and easiest way to check in on all your favorite sports. Pro sports, MMA, championship boxing, golf, horse racing, they have it all. Bring the game home with BetOnline.net, your online sports experts.
The Electronic Express Famous Half Price Fair is going on now. Save up to 50% in every department. Incredible savings on 4K TVs, appliances, computers, speakers and headphones, smart home, and more. Plus, get up to 36 months free financing. You won't find a lower price anywhere. We guarantee it. The Electronic Express Famous Half Price Fair is first come, first served. Ends Saturday at 9 p.m. Electronic Express. We make it happen.
Let me tell you, the most expensive mistake a homebuyer can make is not shopping for the best mortgage. Hey, I'm Roger Moore, founder and CEO of Loan Pronto. It's a fact. Homebuyers who choose Loan Pronto save an average of $3,500. That is a ton of money for furniture or moving expenses. How do we do it? First, we don't charge our clients thousands in junk lender fees and closing costs, and our all-digital platform streamlines the process so you close faster and easier. Realtors love working with us, and we will work with your existing realtor, but don't make a decision about the loan until you call us. Listen, not all mortgages are created equal, and it pays to get a second opinion. Even if you've already started the process, we promise to beat your current offer, or we will pay you $1,000 for your time. So check us out at loanpronto.com or call us today at 615-499-5780. Lower rates, lower cost, and a stress-free experience. Again, loanpronto.com or call us at 615-499-5780.
Equal Housing Lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval. Not all loans apply.
Hi, golfing friends. We're here to tell you about the 54-year anniversary membership special at Oak Hills Golf Course in Greenbrier. For only $89 a year with a $10 per year admin fee, you can get a 2-year anniversary membership at Oak Hills and enjoy unlimited golf from Monday through Sunday. Call Oak Hills Golf Course today to respond to this special offer before it's over. To get your $89 membership today, go to oakhillsgolfcoursetn.com or call 615-643-4505.
This Saturday,
Touchdown OU! Score for Nebraska!
old rivals renew acquaintances in Norman when the Oklahoma Sooners host the Nebraska Cornhuskers. Pre-game at 10:30, kickoff at 11
on ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey Nashville, this is Paul Feinbaum and you're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Be sure to check out the pregame show live from Corner Pub in Cool Springs this Sunday. The pregame show, Mark Howard, Chris Sanders, and yours truly from 1 to 3 at, again, the Corner Pub in Cool Springs at 9200 Carruthers Parkway prior to the Titans and the Seahawks. Pregame show brought to you by TriStar Moving, Parman Tractor and Equipment, FreedomTireGuys.com, FanDuel, E2 Roofing, Hillside Medical, Social Furniture, and Screwball Peanut Butter Whiskey. Time now for headlines with Caroline.
We're spanning the sports world. It's Headlines with Caroline on Stillman and Company, right here on Nashville's best sports talk,
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Headlines presented by Fiero Tequila, the spiciest infused tequila on the market. The world belongs to the brand.
So, Purdue travels to Notre Dame this weekend, and if you don't know, Purdue's band is famous for having the world's largest drum. Now, for the first time since 1979, Purdue will not do their drum with their halftime performance, rather, without the world's largest drum because it's too big to fit in Notre Dame's stadium. So the statement says Notre Dame Athletics has restricted use of their main tunnel to their own football team and band, which is the only entrance large enough for the drum. We've been told that the visiting teams and bands have to use a separate tunnel that doesn't even come close to fitting in this other tunnel. So the drum is 565 pounds. It's 10 feet tall. And Notre Dame has said, sorry, nope, if you can't fit, then you can't bring your drum, which I think kind of stinks. It's a tradition for the Purdue team, and I feel like Notre Dame should be a little bit more understanding of that.
I'd cancel the game.
You would?
Sure. Either that, or I'd have like a giant net and a helicopter.
Yep.
And the helicopter will carry the drum right onto the field.
That's what I would do. I would either, because I don't really know about how difficult it is to break down and rebuild a drum. I've actually never done that, shockingly enough. But if you can't do that, then I would just airlift it in. Like, get a drone to bring the drum in. I mean, come on. I just feel like they're bending the knee a little bit.
What's next?
But anyways, Portland State's head football coach has offered to buy beer for everyone at Saturday's home opener. Head coach Bruce Barnum said on a radio show on Tuesday that he's willing to buy a beer for anyone in attendance, their FCS home opener against Western Oregon. He said, I'm not going to buy your ticket, but I'll buy your beer. And on the radio show, the radio host asked how many beers. He said all of them. So good for him, knowing his clientele and knowing, hey, I just want butts in my seats and I have to.
How much does Portland State pay their football coach?
I don't know. I didn't look into it. But enough to cover beers for whoever goes to a Portland State game.
It's different for a big-time coach to pay that kind of money, but probably different there.
But I also think that the attendance for a Portland State game is a little bit different than Power 5. Also, a little bit of AFC news. Dolphins wide receiver Will Fuller is out for the game against the Bills on Sunday. TBD on the rest of the season due to personal reasons. So he's finishing out a 6-game suspension for PEDs in week 1. So he was out week 1. Will also be out week 2. And when Brian Flores was asked about the rest of the season, he declined to comment, but of course said they respect his privacy and support him. So that would be a huge loss for the Dolphins.
Those are headlines with Caroline. Headlines are brought to you by Fiero Tequila, the spiciest infused tequila on the market. The world belongs to the brave. Coming up next, six-pack picks. We'll pick them all, including the Titans game. That's coming up next. Be caller 5 right now at 615-737-1025, and you'll win a pair of tickets to see Miles Kennedy at Marathon Music Works on Thursday, September 23rd. Good luck there. Car buying can be tough, which is why I love the fact that I'm with my friends at Edmunds, and you need to use my friends Edmunds too, because while it's so stressful and you don't know what to get and you don't know what, Edmunds can take all of that out of it. Edmunds editors drive over 500,000 miles every year, testing thousands of hours on hundreds of new vehicles. They review almost every car on the market and rank the best ones in each category so you can narrow your search and compare options side by side to find the best vehicle for you. When you're ready, Edmunds makes it easy to find options in your area with accurate price estimates. They've got their top-rated awards, which are selected by Edmunds editors based on extensive testing, ranking process, which considers performance, comfort, technology, fuel economy, value, and much, much more. Again, buying a car can be really overwhelming. It's a good thing that Edmunds has over 50 years of experience in finding the best options for you. Edmunds is here to guide you to your perfect vehicle. Visit Edmunds.com to see their best car rankings and search for vehicles near you. That's EDMUNDS.com, because for cars, there's Edmunds.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
Our soggy pattern continues right into the weekend with temperatures in the low 80s both Saturday and Sunday. Look for scattered showers and thunderstorms, some to produce heavy pockets of rain. For Fox 17, I'm Chief Meteorologist Katie Morgan.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
Edwin Watts Golf Shops, home of the 90-day 100% satisfaction guarantee, serving golfers since 1968.
Hi guys, it's Andrew with Hillside Medical Clinic. Are you struggling with erectile dysfunction and sick of pills? Well, I have breaking news. Hillside Medical Clinic uses the most proven form of wave technology available, clinically shown by Cambridge to open up and regrow blood vessels. No pills and no side effects. If you're ready to put a stop to your ED by treating the root cause, call us now, and not only will the assessment and blood flow ultrasound be free, we'll also include something unique that produces powerful results in the bedroom. You're going to love that. And to those that call in the next 2 minutes, you'll qualify for an extra treatment free. This is an unheard of value worth hundreds of dollars. Call 615-576-5000. That's 615-576-5000. Put a stop to your erectile dysfunction and get your love life back. Call Hillside Medical Clinic in the next 2 minutes to qualify for this unprecedented offer. 615-576-5000.
Listen up, sports bettors. This is Hall of Famer Warren Sapp here to tell you about my favorite sports book, BetUS.com. I only endorse one sports book, and that's BetUS.com. Just like me, BetUS is the Hall of Famer of online betting with more than 25 years in the biz. Call today, and they will get you set up faster than I can run the 40. I play at BetUS, and so should you. BetUS.com.
Use code GAME for a sign-up bonus.
Tell them Sapp sent you.
Lift it, load it, grade it, grind it, move it, haul it, rig it, dig it, Craneworks, Rentalworks, yeah! The big dog's got it.
Craneworks is ready to help lift Nashville. As the Southeast's most trusted name in crane and equipment rental for over 30 years, Craneworks offers certified operators to make sure the job is done right. Rentalworks has a diverse fleet of equipment to assist in any project, big or small. From forklifts to carry deck cranes, they have it all. When it's time for your next lift, machinery moving, or rigging project, call Craneworks. Visit Craneworks.com.
Darren McFarland.
That should get you in the mood for a game tonight.
Willie Donick.
I think between 5.5 and 6 is probably in the ballpark.
Chase McCabe.
Typically, I like to take the most difficult task and do it first.
Darren, Donick, and Chase have you covered weekdays from 10 to 2. Presented by Curacion CBD on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN.
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
This is Stillman and Company, delivered by TriStar Moving.
Stillman and Company, six-pack picks, including the Titans game in just a second. But first, let me tell you about my friends at Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. You know I love my friends at Hiller. They come to my home. They take great care of me, and I promise you they can do the same for you. And that's not any just line. I'm telling you, I've been using Hiller for 3 years, and I absolutely love them. There's no better time to upgrade your essential home systems than this month with my friends at Hiller. Hiller is offering you credits for your old home systems. Trade in your old HVAC unit and earn up to $1,500 in credits towards select new systems. Upgrade from a standard water heater to a tankless water heater and earn up to $500 with your trade. Trade up to a new electrical panel and earn up to $500 in credits for your old one. Their work is backed by the Happy OB or services-free guarantee, and their technicians are continuing to take measures to keep you and your family safe and healthy on every single call. Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical, proud supporters of the Preds, the Vols, and the Vanderbilt Commodores. Hiller, call the Happy Face Truck today. Time for six-pack picks. Ian, how did we do last week?
Okay, Caroline, off to a little bit of a slow start.
That's okay.
2-4.
Watch it.
2-4. Got Seattle and Cleveland both correct. Missed Buffalo, Green Bay, Baltimore, and the Titans. Jared
It was a shocker there.
Yeah, Jared 4-2. Got Pittsburgh, Seattle, Cleveland, even though he said Cleveland would win, but we don't really.
Close.
Las Vegas, and he missed Green Bay, and he missed the Titans, which he said the Titans would have a blowout, 31-13. He just got the teams
close.
wrong.
Yeah, I was close. Just got the most important part wrong. Let's get it going.
Okay, we will start noon, Fox. The Rams at the Colts. Over-under on this game is 48. We have the Rams, -3.5. Who's first this week, Jared?
I am going to let Caroline go first.
Give me the Rams -3.5. I think the show that Matthew Stafford put on week 1 was just a peak of what we're going to see from him this season. They're not very high in the Colts this year, so give me the Rams -3.5.
I'll take the Rams -3.5 too, for in large part one of the same reasons Caroline just put out there. I think Colts suck, and I think last week was an example of that. This game is, I believe, in Indianapolis, so they don't have to go to L.A., which they'd have no chance if they had to do that. But, yeah, I think the Rams rolling.
Okay, continuing on Fox. This game is actually on Fox. Some weird TV schedules this week. The Bills going to Miami to take on the Dolphins. Noon, Fox. Over under 47.5. We have Buffalo -3.
I'll take the Bills. I think the Bills, I expected them to get their bell rung a little bit by the Steelers. I didn't think the Steelers were going to win. I thought it was going to be close. I think Buffalo gets back on track. Give me the Bills -3.
I expected this line to be a little bit wider than that. I was thinking, okay, Bills minus 10, Bills minus 14, and in that case...
14 in an NFL game?
Well, in that case, I would have easily taken the Dolphins plus whatever, but I'm going to take the Bills minus 3 on this one.
14 in an NFL game.
Well, I expected it to be a little bit bigger.
Okay, moving on to CBS. The Raiders coming off their big win over the Ravens, going to Pittsburgh to take on the Steelers. Josh Jacobs, running back for the Raiders, has been ruled out. Noon, CBS, over under 47. We have Pittsburgh minus 6.
I'll take, well, it's your turn.
I'm going to take the Raiders plus 6. I think even without Josh Jacobs, Darren Waller is a baller, and I think Pittsburgh is a great team as well, but I think it's going to be a little bit closer than by a touchdown.
I'll go ahead and take the Steelers on this one. I think the Steelers are feeling themselves. Games at home, Raiders, short week, cross-country flight, overrated. Give me the Steelers minus 6.
Overrated.
Hey, way to go,
Tough fits that one.
Happy for you.
Continuing on CBS, the Cowboys on CBS at the Chargers, 325. Over-under on this one, as Corey Curtis mentioned, very high at 55. We have the Chargers minus 3.5.
I go first on this one. I will take the Chargers. I think that's easy. I think you all know I think Dallas stinks. So I'll take the Chargers. I think they'll win big. I think the Chargers win big in this one.
I think I'm going to take the Cowboys on this one. I mean, I think the Cowboys had a great week one showing. They're on long rest playing Thursday night last week. And I don't think...
Even in SoFi?
Yeah, I don't think the Chargers had that outstanding of a week one that it makes me think otherwise. So I'm going to take the Cowboys on this one.
Fun Sunday night game.
Chiefs and Ravens.
Chiefs and Ravens.
Yes.
7:20 NBC. Over under this one again, 54.5. Expecting some points here. Kansas City minus 3.5.
I'll take this one first. And I will take, what was the spread again, Ian?
Kansas City minus 3.5.
I think that's free money.
That is so easy.
I think that's free money. I mean, the Ravens have so many injuries. They're playing on a short week. Cross-country flight. I mean, I think that is a lot. I mean, it's Lamar Jackson versus everybody else. I think the Chiefs are going to just wallop the Ravens, and I think this is going to be a big one. Give me the Chiefs.
Yeah, I think I would take the Chiefs minus 3.5, even if the Ravens didn't have all of these injury issues going on in their running back core. So yeah, give me the Chiefs minus 3.5. I also think I'm going to take the under on that game because I think it's going to be the Chiefs are going to score a decent amount of touchdowns, but I don't see the Ravens pushing that over at all.
All right, that brings us to our last game here. 325 CBS. Titans going to Seattle, taking on the Seahawks. Another high over-under on this one of 54. The line has moved to Seattle, minus 6.5.
Keeps rising in favor of Seattle.
It does. I think Seattle's going to win this game, but I'm going to take Titans plus 6.5. I think it's going to be closer than people think because I do think that the Titans are going to come out and prove that they weren't what they were in week one, if in fact they aren't. But I do think the Seahawks win outright.
I think the Titans win. I think the Titans get it done. And here's why I think the Titans are going to get it done. I think Ryan Tannehill is going to rise to the occasion. And I don't think it's going to be A.J. or Julio. I think it's going to be spread all around. I think he's going to move the football. I think Tannehill is going to step up against the questionable secondary that I feel like Seattle has. I think the Titans get it done. I think Randy Bullock makes his kicks. I think the Titans win this one, and I think it's going to be surprisingly low scoring. I'm going to go Titans 17-16. I think the Titans get it done 17-16. Six-Pack Picks is brought to you by Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville. Again, Six-Pack Picks brought to you by Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville. That's it for us. We are out of here. Money lines, breaking it all down. That's coming up next. We'll be back for the pregame show 9:30 here on 9:30. 1 o'clock for a late start. 1 o'clock, Mark Howard, Chris Sanders, and yours truly. And we're back at 2 o'clock for Reaction Monday.